This episode of the Giant Bombcast is brought to you in part by Squarespace. Whether you need a landing page, a beautiful gallery, a professional blog, or an online store, it's all included with your Squarespace website. Start your free trial today at squarespace.com and enter offer code BOMBCAST to get 10% off your first purchase.
Hey, hi, hello. It is Tuesday, November the 22nd, 2016. I think Thanksgiving-itis has overtaken the Giant Bombcast here.
Yeah.
I got tryptophan.
I got that tryptophan.
Yeah.
Got it in my pocket.
You guys been pre-dosing?
You gotta build a resistance to
Yeah.
that so you can stay awake through the second football game.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's the way it works.
Yeah.
Tryptophan like I do.
Okay. It's pretty good.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
We're down 2 today.
Tryptophan Hawkins.
Nice.
What?
Nice. That's a good one.
Oh, yeah.
But you've gained a daughter.
That's solid material. Jason's out sick. Dan's out Thanksgiving-ing.
Yeah.
Is he at his dad's house?
Probably.
Oh,
I
I
don't
can't
know.
wait for next week.
I didn't ask
It's
him.
gonna be yeah.
Oh, yeah. He will come back from Kansas with some gold, I'm quite sure.
Yeah. Well, we flew over Kansas and couldn't find
Yeah.
the gold we were looking for.
We tried our best.
But we did find every building that Dan had urinated on, which is apparently no small number.
Wait, did you Google?
You scoured the cyber Earth
We went
looking for...
Yeah. We went through Google Earth VR.
I had a really emotional response to that I did not
exactly what
expect
Jeff
at all.
said.
Me too.
I haven't tried it yet, but that's like exactly what you said.
Yeah. It's
It's
yeah.
profound. Like
Totally.
so when through my work at Tested, I met several astronauts and you talk to them about things and they tell you about coming back from space and having a completely different appreciation for everything here as a result of that. And I wonder if
the Apollo missions are like full of quotes from every astronaut talking about what a...
Yeah, those guys go to space hardcore neocons and come back, hippie environmentalists.
Right.
So I wonder if what we get from Google Earth is just like the tiniest taste of that feeling.
0.001%, but still a powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was. Yeah. I mean, I went and looked at here's my grandparents' house where they moved out of there when I was in junior high. But hey, here's the little water tower that we took over and turned into this. Here's where. If I walk along here, this is where we wrecked this motorcycle. This is where we built this treehouse. This is where we used to try to spray our names on the side of the drainage ditch and that sort of stuff. And hey, here I am actually standing in my own backyard. And then it ended up through no fault, by virtue of Google's image data being out of date, it ended up being even weirder because it's just oh, my dead roommate's cars are in the driveway here.
Oh boy.
And so it's wow. Which is, I think it is emotional on a lot of levels. That ended up hitting me a lot harder than I would have ever expected.
Yeah.
Even though I've seen Google Street View and satellite imagery and all that other stuff that has seen that exact image in different ways, there was something about I'm standing in this driveway right now that made it fucking crazy.
Did you guys flip the human scale on so you could
Yeah.
walk around? So on my street where I live now, I flipped that on and they did the photogrammetry, I think the drone photogrammetry where they just fly over with helicopters.
Oh, yeah.
And it ended up being this amazing surrealist nightmare where all the trees were triangular blobs and the car, you could see, oh right, that's my car. But it's like the Salvador Dali kind of.
It's like an N64 PlayStation version of your car.
But maybe the cartridge is glitched out some.
Right.
And with a bunch of surreal floating rock islands hanging around.
Yeah, the trees are all there's a palm tree in front of my house and it was just this giant cubist nightmare thing. Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, that thing is really amazing.
Did you guys get motion sick?
No.
Okay.
I turned off the comfort mode immediately and never looked back.
So I didn't get it. I've heard people complain. People have said
people on the internet.
People on the internet are saying that it makes them motion sick, but I didn't get any of that. So it's really. I thought I was just blown away by that.
It's I mean, it is easily one of the coolest things a person can do in VR right now.
It's free, right?
Yeah, it is.
Just download it
yeah,
from them?
yeah.
Wow.
And it's people have hacked it to right. It's Vive only right now, but people have hacked it to run on a Rift. But I think you need touch controllers, which are not widely available yet to actually like navigate for reals.
Yeah.
But it sounds like, I mean, one would expect that they would, as soon as those touch controllers are out, they'll probably just update it to support that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, and Steam VR theoretically should support touch controllers more or less out of the box because there's control parity between the two.
Right. Yeah. So it's like they'll have to figure out headset support, but not necessarily the controller support stuff.
I mean, so in theory, Steam VR should work like, remember in the old days of 3D accelerators when DirectX came along and OpenGL, and all of a sudden you went from having to have the glide driver to everything just kind of working with DirectX or OpenGL.
Right.
Steam VR, it seems like their goal is to make Steam VR be that for headsets, but you just buy everything through Steam. So presumably,
I'm sure they would love that.
Like if you put a Rift on right now and you fire up Steam VR, it detects it as a Rift.
Right.
It sees the two cameras instead of the lighthouses.
Yeah.
And when you have touch controllers, then that same thing is supposed to happen.
But it seems like the games individually either do or don't support the headset.
It depends on the version of Unity.
Okay.
It depends on what you compiled against.
Yeah. Okay.
Didn't Microsoft just announce a whole bunch of stuff for Windows 10 and integrated graphics to totally run VR?
Yeah,
Well,
I don't know. They haven't. Their outreach for that has been somewhat underwhelming.
Okay.
Not that we're important enough that people should reach out to us, but I'm in like a bunch of communities with a bunch of Vive and Oculus developers, and when they announced that stuff, everybody was like, "Has anybody heard of this?"
Yeah. Right.
Anybody? Did they talk to literally anyone about this? Anyway, so we're probably off that list now, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Dan's out.
Yes. Will Smith is here. Matt Rory is here.
Hi. Sorry,
Thank you guys for joining us.
I did the bad thing where I
What? No.
talked before introduction.
Yeah, we like to
Sorry.
keep it loose around here, you know.
It's a whole different regime now.
Yes.
Hey.
What's up, Jeff?
Oh, I don't know.
How's
Not
it
much.
going?
Yeah, it's going pretty well. Yeah.
You got a shirt on.
I do have a shirt on. It's true. For people listening to the audio
there's
version
a
of this
thing on that
podcast,
shirt.
I am wearing a shirt.
Yeah.
It's like a little seal.
It's my friend.
Yeah.
He's a good boy.
Uh-huh.
His name's Poplio.
Oh, yeah?
He's the best.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Where'd you get that shirt?
I ordered it on the internet.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Seems like it's a minor holy war going on out there right now.
Well,
What's the
you
whole,
know,
what?
Around the standard bearers of the new Pokemon games.
It's not Pikachu
there
and
are people
Charmander?
there are forces out there.
Yeah.
There are anti-Poplio forces out there, and I disapprove very strongly.
It seems like the Rowlet faction has been picking up some steam.
Look, I'm not going to be like these other dirtbags out here and run down a Rowlet or a Litten or anything like that. I'm merely going to say that Poplio is the best.
Okay. I can accept that.
Can you give me a quick, as somebody who's completely outside the world of the Pokemons,
Yeah.
can you give me a quick pro and con for Poplio?
Poplio, I will just hold up this image of this fun-looking seal dog-looking thing here.
Is he just a seal?
It's a cute
Or is he some
that-
weird cross?
water here on the back of the shirt. It lists things like type and
Oh, yeah.
Water. I can confirm the type is water.
so
that looks like official Pokemon merchandise from the chevron thing on the sleeve.
it is indeed. Yeah, I went to
So,
a Chevron station.
$30. What was that? How much did it cost?
They're selling them by the register.
Shipped, it was closer to 40.
Fuck me.
Wow, really?
Yeah,
That's
sure.
an expensive ass T-shirt.
Well,
Does it do anything? Does it unlock some shit in the game?
it makes me feel good.
I like that he has a little collar.
Yeah.
Have you ever considered getting a collar like that to wear when
Yes.
you wear the shirt? Okay,
Most definitely.
I think it's a good idea.
It's pretty much next on the list.
Yeah, it looks like one of those e-collars you put on your dog, but flattened out.
Right.
So yeah, you
Yeah.
should totally sign up for that.
Yeah. No, I went away for the weekend. Went out, hung out at the beach for a while.
Okay.
Stared at water.
Yeah.
Pondered the state of the world.
The fall
for
beach
a while.
it's not quite winter yet, right?
It's not.
No, not till next month, right?
Yeah.
December
The fall-
21st, I
all
think,
right.
is
So
usually.
it's the autumn beach then.
Yeah. So
Of course, California beaches are cold all damn year. So
yeah,
it doesn't really
northern
matter.
California.
There's like
beaches
3
are,
days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had one good day of like proper rain. Stare at the water. It's terrible, but there's a
Yeah, it was-
fireplace in here, so it'll be okay.
It was wet this weekend.
Yeah, and then Sunday it cleared up and it was fine. So it was a good mix of both types of autumn beach.
Sure.
Did you get waterfowl? Did you watch some ducks?
Are there Poplios there?
No, I did not. I heard some seals definitely out and about, or some sea lions or something out in the water.
Maybe they were Poplios.
Maybe.
Poplios
been
are. I
Poplios,
think
yeah.
the Poplios are migrating at this time of year.
Do you think
Yeah.
sea lions and seals were like originally people thought they were the same thing, but then somebody like misheard seal on the water. Sea lion? What does that mean? Because there can't be a coincidence that they're both like sea lion and seal.
You're probably right.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Etymology. Now I'd have to know.
They all look the same to me.
That's a really fucked up thing to say.
I mean, I'm just saying, sea lions, seals.
Yeah, well, they've got rich. Okay, yeah, no, that's just what their language, their culture sounds like to you, I guess.
I'm just channeling.
Okay, I see. No,
look,
I get it.
That might be a stereotype,
No,
but
I hear you.
okay.
What I'm saying is, I hear you. Okay,
You're with me on this?
No,
what?
I hear where you're coming from.
Well, look.
But I'm very much not with you on this. You are on your own.
What about where do walruses fit in this?
They do not. Fuck
morbidly
them.
obese
No,
seals?
we have to kill all the walruses. Yeah,
they're assholes.
Walrus
right?
genocide
Tusks.
is next on the list.
Yeah.
And then I came home and this shirt was waiting on my doorstep, so I was pretty happy about that.
That's a good weekend.
Yeah.
Did you drag any video games with you down there?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No, but I've spent the last week honestly just kind of slogging through Watch Dogs 2 now.
Yeah.
It's
Did it start losing momentum?
it's paced really strangely, and so I've been doing a lot of the side stuff. They've got an app on your phone, on your in-game phone, that lists all the different operations you are currently running, and they list them as main missions and side missions. So I've been doing some of the side missions as they've seemed interesting, and I've done most of the ones that have come along. There are also online operations, which I haven't been doing, but because it seems like the player matching has been broken. They launched with like this supposedly seamless multiplayer mode that they were touting completely offline. It sounds like just this morning it's up on PS4, but not on Xbox One.
A full week after launch before that.
And like I'm nearing the end of the game, and I don't think. I mean, judging by the little bit of multiplayer I've done so far in this game, combined with what I know of multiplayer from the first game. Once I finish this game, that's it. Like, I have no interest in, like, I'm going to go hack this other player in this kind of one-off thing. So I don't know what their seamless mode is because I haven't seen it yet. But judging by what is in the game in terms of bounty hunter mode and some of this other stuff, like, none of it seems, like, cool enough to matter.
Yeah. The first game, it was just, like, people invading your area.
Yeah, and that's still in here.
Like, tripping, like, hacking obstacles and stuff like that, right?
Well, they hack you, and then that creates a bubble on the map that you have to stay in. So, like, the player... The hosting player that's getting hacked needs to find this other player who just looks like generic AI.
I remember that stuff.
That's in here as well.
Okay.
I've done that once.
I love that stuff.
It's a cool idea.
It kind of sounds like something that came out of like the old Assassin's Creed multiplayer.
Right, yeah, but way less interesting because it's just one-on-one and not like this kind of like, oh, there could be 5 people trying to kill me or someone got killed while I'm doing this, and or that stuff. Yeah, it has not been. I did not especially like it in the first game, and the one time I did it here in the follow-up, it has not been any different. So, we'll see. It's got other modes and it has co-op missions and stuff like that. It has never matched me up with another player when I take on those online missions. So with this stuff coming online, I'm looking forward to at least looking at that stuff. Though it doesn't necessarily sound that interesting to me. Yeah, so I don't know. I really like the writing, and I like the characters, and I think that the game is really standard, which I think makes it like a better game than the first one by a significant margin. But at the same time, like it's a very standard open world game, which I think I said as much last week. But as I kind of wear on with it, it's hard to play in long stretches because I do a few missions, then I'm like, all right, I think I'm gonna do something else because a lot of the mission design, and a lot of there's kind of stealth stuff because a lot of it is about like get into restricted area, use the tools at your disposal to get to a place to do a thing, and a lot of it is really crazy because a lot of it is like I'm trying to hack this thing and they really can't know that we hacked it because that then presumably they would fix it. But like you can murder your way in and out of that place, and they never think to go like, well, why was this guy from this known hacking group here?
Right.
Maybe we should look at our shit. Like they never, you can accomplish those missions in like the dumbest ways possible.
Some of the ways that they sort of like break their own fiction or don't respect it are just kind of insane. Like the little bit I've gotten to play of it, I did one of those early missions where you infiltrate. It's basically the Lucasfilm equivalent. There's there's a movie studio up in the Presidio, which is where Lucasfilm is here. And you got to break in there and like steal a trailer and some emails or whatever.
Right.
And there's a bunch of security guards walking around, and like I didn't think the stealth was amazing. Like I've played too much Hitman recently, but I thought it was kind of clumsy. But anyway, I get in there, I get spotted at a certain point. And you're on like a closed movie set. You would think these security guards would maybe come up to you and say, "Hey, you got to get out of here." Instead, like 5 of them opened up on me with their pistols all at once.
They only have one reaction, and that is to start shooting.
Yeah, for the crime of sneaking onto a movie set, they all start shooting me to death.
That's the way it works in the real world.
Yeah,
just to be you, like you walk over to Lucasfilm, you go past that Yoda statue, you're gonna get gunned down.
That's true.
There is a brief window if you're on the edge of a restricted zone and getting closer to entering it, but haven't quite entered it, or you've just entered it and someone is watching you. They will walk over and go, "Hey, you need to get a
Yeah.
And you have kind of a moment to turn around and not start some shit. But by that point, you might as well just start some shit.
You'd think when like the guy in the morning comes in and like the entire night shift got murdered, like that handoff they'd have a conversation about like security of their machines.
It's like, okay, what happened here and why?
Why are there 5 security guards piled on top of each other?
Probably call the cops. Something about it. So, but yeah, there is this aspect of like I'm infiltrating this like, you know, internet company that is tied up in all this crazy shit, and I'm very clearly like I'm playing non-lethally, so I'm stunning a ton of people, knocking a lot of people out on my way there. At some point, those people get woken up, or you know, presumably after I leave, they would wake up. You would think that there would be some kind of audit of like, maybe we should look at the security cameras. What happened here? Oh, it's this guy again.
Look, Bob's always just shocking, tasing himself on the job. He just does it to get his jollies.
It's this guy again. And why is he walking over to this computer? What is he doing to that computer? We should probably look at that. Oh well, like like whatever.
I mean, that's the way all
video
these
game
games
fiction
are. Yeah,
totally is fucking dumb anyway, and doesn't respect any of that stuff. But in this game, like, yeah, the stealth is a little clunky, especially like, so I'm doing a lot of stuff via the little drone, the quadcopter, or the little racer RC car thing. Yeah. And you can get most things done that way. So you kind of never enter the restricted area yourself. But like, people see this drone car going around doing stuff. If they're not a guard, meaning they don't show up as red in your detective vision view, they just look at it and go, "What?" And that's it. They don't give a fuck. And same deal with you walking through also. Like, there are areas that are marked as restricted, but there are plenty of people, which I guess...
Look, I could do that here. I could go walk all through this building.
This office is exactly the same way. So that's maybe not too far gone, but it's... Yeah, like a lot of that stuff just kind of makes the mission design and a lot of the stealth stuff really easier than it probably should be. And I think the game would have been better if they had thought more about their AI.
Are there multiple approaches? Like, do you have to, like, can you go up and say, put something in the air vents at the top of the building to just gas everybody in the building to make it easier to get in and out?
No, there's nothing like that. You could, I mean, but you could use cameras to, like, you can hack cameras and then hack another camera and hack another camera. And there are some things that are physical hacks that mean you or the car have to be there.
Okay.
And there are some things that you can just hack remotely. So there are plenty of cases where you can kind of camera your way into an area, hack a laptop to get the access key that then lets you open more doors, and then you can kind of open those doors remotely from the car or the quadcopter or whatever. So there are plenty of missions and plenty of things you can do with by never putting yourself in danger, which I think is really interesting and kind of fun, up to a point.
And do you have, is there like one of the things that always makes me crazy on that stuff in GTA and games like that is that there's always some arbitrary range bubble
there
on
is,
like,
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But you know, these remote control cars and quadcopters, there would be a range. So like, and also when you hit that edge of the range, you can pull it back in, exit the view, and then just walk yourself 10 steps forward and hit it again.
Oh, okay.
And it stays where it is.
Yeah. It stays where it is. So you get a chance to like, so you can kind of like almost leapfrog your way into a place, but none of the missions are ever quite elaborate enough to really have you do that as much as I feel like I would want to.
It seems like if you put that game, those mechanics in a game that had like the depth of Hitman or Dishonored or something like that, it would be fucking awesome.
And like better AI response. I actually really like a lot of the AI response in this game because it's super dumb.
Okay.
And you see a lot of crazy shit happening on the street where they've just like built in these little things that you'll happen upon, and some of the way the AI sometimes responds to that is funny or broken.
Yeah.
Where you see people dancing while they're half inside a car, like 3 people standing around a boombox dancing, and then one of them kind of gets caught in a van and just starts glitching out.
My man.
Or here's a guy that is just fucking beating a car with a bat while yelling about how he got cheated on.
Yes, I've seen that one. That was so good. I recorded a video clip of that.
And then you're like, well, I'm going to pull up my little selfie camera and then fucking throw up one of these while this guy does this. But then the act of you pulling out the camera seems like sometimes they notice that.
Like they get shame all
of
a
like,
sudden?
What? And they'll stop.
When I first started the game, as soon as I got out of the tutorial, you know how you there's a good chance you'll end up at Vista Point, just above the Golden Gate Bridge. I was up like on where the flagpole is. It's kind of a raised little tourist attraction thing. I get like some kind of notification that the cops are after me. I'm like, I'm just standing here. What did I do? And I turn around. There's a police car repeatedly ramming into the barrier that I'm standing on, and they're like shouting at me that they're going to arrest me, but it just keeps running.
There's a lot,
I was like, this game's probably going to be okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit like that where you look at it and go like, man, this stuff is rough, but it works out to the game's benefit just as often as it works against it, to where I haven't really minded it too much. But
like, where does this fall? Like, this sounds like Saints Row 2. In that it's it's better than the first one. It's still kind of bland,
right?
But it sets up some good stuff that could maybe they're going to make a crazy turn in the next.
You're saying Watch Dogs the Third is going to be, I mean, pretty amazing.
Yeah. I mean, sure. Like I ended up not being a big Saints Row 2 fan.
No, it wasn't a great
game.
So
that's where it maybe breaks it for me. Where I think Watch Dogs 2 is a pretty good game.
Okay,
it's very standard in its execution ultimately, and the writing is better than that. So that's where it's kind of a shame. But I still think overall it's pretty good.
Okay.
It's just like you kind of get your preferred way of infiltration down, and then you can kind of just do that through most of these missions. And I'm getting pretty close to what seems like the end of the game. I don't know. Like there are things about it I like. You know, and a lot of it is very now in a way that is sometimes really fascinating and sometimes actually slightly off-putting.
Yeah, the whole like Silicon Valley big data aspect of it.
Yeah, like the big data, WikiLeaks Anonymous. Like we talked about that a little bit last week too. But like some of that stuff is, like I said, it's very now, and that cuts both ways.
Yeah, it seems like that doesn't sound appealing to me right now. I don't want more of that in my recreation time. Right now.
Yeah.
The sales have not been especially exciting.
Oh, where'd you hear that?
Maybe not.
What was that?
Where'd you hear that?
Online. Read a story about it.
Oh, okay.
The internet,
big data told you, huh? Yeah. No, that's I don't know. It seems like UK sales are not on par, or they're below where the first game was, which makes sense. I mean, the first game burned a lot of people.
Yeah, that's what
it had that huge debut. Like there were all those press releases. It's like the most pre-ordered new IP in history and stuff like that.
Which that game was not worth that. It never was.
Yeah.
Well, that was all on the basis of that E3 trailer too. That was fucking incredible.
Yeah.
And then the game didn't.
Yeah, the debut for that game was that was something.
So can you do stuff in this one? Like in the first one, you had the promise of like popping up the barriers to smash cars that were chasing us, and like I never got that to work.
It is not that different. Where like if a cop is chasing you and they are you can activate objects two ways. So as you're driving at like say a steam vent or something, you can pop a proximity bubble around it so that when anyone who is not you enters that bubble, it triggers. And that'll be any AI, bad guy, pedestrians, whatever. Yeah,
that's good.
But then there's also the kind of behind you thing where, like on PS4, the square button prompt will pop. This is how it worked in the previous game, where like for like a second or less sometimes, the square button, it's maybe like it's more than a second actually, but it is not a good long time. A square button prompt will appear and it'll start beeping at you, and if you hit that right there, it will blow up the cop car behind you.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because that's how cars work. You can hack them and blow them up.
Well, no, it means you're passing a steam vent or something else
like
that would then divert the car and take it out.
Okay.
So it's like you drove past a steam pipe on the ground, and then as you're driving past it, you could then hack it.
A steam pipe.
Hey, man, big data is everywhere.
Everything's computers now, man. You look.
Yeah.
Your microphone, that's a computer.
Yeah,
I hacked glasses.
I hacked Steam one time.
It's
They banned
computer.
me forever.
Yeah, your watch, it's a computer.
That steam pipe probably runs Doom.
My watch is actually analog. It's not a computer at all.
It's still a computer.
It's still a computer.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of fancy thing you have here in your
Silicon Valley.
What like is the lack of drawbridges because like Chicago, a lot of you can open up those drawbridges all the time. That was real dumb.
Yeah. No, that's I guess that doesn't have that.
Golden Gate Bridge is a drawbridge now.
Yeah,
that'd be amazing.
You just have to hack it right.
Yeah, you just have to hack the planet, man.
The closest drawbridge to here is probably High Street to Alameda, but that's more of like a lifty one.
Third south of the ballpark.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
We'll drive over there, see if there's anything there, but probably not. Yeah, it's neat. The mission design is starting to wear on me now that I've played a lot of it and kind of seen most of its tricks. It's like it hasn't really presented, like the stakes are higher in the story and that stuff. I really want to see it wrap up and kind of see how it goes, because they've managed to create a bad guy that I would really like to see get his. But like the things I'm doing to get there are pretty similar. It is walk up to a thing, hack it, walk out.
I would think it would be really, really difficult to make those missions, to design those missions in a way that it kind of forces you to adapt your play style as you continue through a game that's that open-ended.
At some point, you've spec'd in a certain direction, and you've got these abilities, and you're more likely to keep using those and keep speccing and that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's even looking at the alternate options and knowing kind of what I could do, like, oh, I could have done this way. Like it seems like the other ways I could have done things is I just kill everyone, which like the combat is way more standard than anything else that has going on. So that doesn't seem that much more interesting.
And like kind of out of character for the group of people you're playing.
Sounds like a real mixed bag, Jeff.
Like I said, I like
fans of the genre.
Yeah,
will probably
fans of the genre.
appreciate it.
Probably, I like it more than I dislike it. How about that?
evolutionary.
I
Rent it, probably?
I think it's a good game. Yeah, maybe worth a rental. Redbox it. No, I don't know. Yeah,
Sorry.
it's
I apologize.
It's cool.
Okay.
And as these things go, I think it's more positive than negative. But
it sounds like the characters alone, there's some winners.
This is a game I want to see a sequel to, whereas Watch Dogs 1 was not. So they've, at least I feel like they have very much like redeemed the franchise in a way where I think there's a there's a path forward. We'll see how it ends, but this seems like something that they've hit on where they can make more of these.
He's going to go to the center of the city. He's going to explode. He's going to get superpowers. He's going to kill a lot of people.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I could get down with that. It's worked before.
Yeah.
That's a valid direction.
But yeah, I've that's mostly what I've been playing. I've not been messing around with. I've been messing around with Oculus Touch controllers a lot lately and trying to get that stuff working. And we'll talk about that next week, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Curious to hear about that stuff. Will.
Hello, Brad Shoemaker.
Hello. What's going on with you?
I've been playing a lot of Titanfall.
Okay.
Multiplayer mostly, which is fucking great, except for PC. It's gotten thin already.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Like,
I
really?
I hear the player count is. Well, it's definitely behind the console versions.
If you want to play attrition or bounty hunt, you're okay. If you want to play Last Titan Standing, you can wait a little while and maybe get a game. The other stuff is I don't. It's not worth waiting as long as it takes to get a game, which sucks.
It's been. That game is currently, I think you can get it for $30 on PC. Yeah, they've got a combination of like a sale, and then there's some promo code that they're kicking around.
I think the console versions at some retailers have been around like $35 or something.
I almost bought the PS4 version for $35.
Yeah,
but it was only a disc, and I don't buy discs anymore because fuck discs.
Yeah, fair enough. That game's awesome. I've been playing more of that too. It's so good. It's a lot of fun.
That and they added the new character to Overwatch, Sombra, and updated all the playlists, which has been fun.
She's the hacker.
She's the hacker.
Right, okay.
I don't like her. I like playing Ana, the first new character. All right, the healing sniper.
Yes.
She's actually quite good and challenging. I don't think I understand how you're supposed to play Sombra yet. Like I've played her a couple times, it's been bad every time. She's kind of like got a close range submachine gun, almost like Tracer, a little more ammo, a little more damage, and then her powers are mostly like debuffs, so they prevent you from using your abilities,
right?
And they let you be invisible. So it's kind of like a spy class almost.
Yeah, so it's almost like you should like cloak, get up close, debuff, shoot.
So I'm not sure if it's that you get up close, debuff, and then cloak to escape, or if you cloak, debuff, and then kill. Because like it doesn't seem like she has enough health to kill most of the classes before they're going to kill her.
Right.
So it almost needs to be like a hidden fate, I think. But that's not the way I usually play. But they added a bunch of playlists to this arcade mode that kind of take the place of the old brawls. And one of them is a playlist of all of the old brawls. So it's like the Hanzo and Genji, all the different like weird sub games. They have a one-on-one mode on a new map that's terrible. Like it's these you should not play these characters one-on-one.
That seems like
a
game. Bad way. I mean, if you just want to have a raw test of like a character's abilities and how well they match up in a one-on-one, but like that's not the game.
It's not. Well, because it's the way it works is it's random and it's the same character versus the same character.
Oh,
so it ends up being
that's,
just attrition, which is not super good.
That's way less interesting.
And then they have a 3-on-3, which is kind of fun, a little different, and a couple of 5-on-5s that just do different stuff. Like one is that you can do whatever you want, any mixture of classes. One is that the characters are assigned randomly, stuff like that.
Did you play this weekend?
I played this weekend
Because I had a free weekend, right? Was
Yeah,
that only
it was
on-
it was a free weekend and a
Only on
sale, I
PC?
think.
Yeah, I
the
played.
sale came up on Monday, I know, but was it any different over the weekend? Like a lot of newbies running around, or
So the way the matchmaking works, they don't expose people who've been playing for a long time to newbies very often. So like the last time they did the free weekend, it wasn't bad. This one, I saw a lot of like people calling each other ethnic slurs and stuff like that in chat, which is kind of unusual for that game, at least on PC.
Yeah.
I mostly played Dishonored this weekend because the free weekend is not when I really want to be playing Overwatch. But Dishonored's fucking great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that game's really
Treating
good.
you well. How'd you feel about the first one?
I love the first. So the first one, I had a hard time with the first playthrough, and then I bounced off. And like during the spring doldrum, I kind of came back to it and poked at it enough until I understood how the stealth works and how all that how you're supposed to play the game. And I really, really fell in love with the DLC where you played the other assassin.
Yeah.
Where the blink, instead of being like a one-way teleport, you could stutter step and like pause in midair, re-aim, and then jump across streets and stuff like that. It made it much more mobile and made the stealth a lot easier. But then the new one is incredible. Like the Clockwork Mansion, which is probably like the 4th or 5th level in that game, is I think the best single player level I've ever seen.
Jeez, is that the one with a bunch of transforming rooms?
Yeah,
okay, I've seen a bunch of footage of that, and man, there's some impressive design in there for sure.
There's like the surface level impressive design, and then there's another meta level of underneath that's just it's incredible. It is I can't imagine how much work went into making sure that you can't get yourself stuck someplace with all this.
Right.
I don't want to spoil it because it's when you figure the way you play that thing out, it's incredible. But it's like that game is super, super good, and it's the stealth is a little bit. It's a little less accessible, I think, than the first game. I think they did a pretty good job of making that a relatively easy to understand game for people who maybe don't even play stealth.
I feel like the first game, like that was my problem with it, was figuring out ranges and am I hidden or not.
Yeah,
like that was where I broke off of it. Was just like I got to a point where like, okay, I don't feel like I have a good handle on the blink. I don't feel like I have a good handle on the stealth. Like I'm having zero fun with this, and I just stopped.
So the blink on the first one was hard. That's why I specifically like that DLC a lot, is because it gave you the hey, here's where you're going to end up.
Yeah,
and then if you were in a bad place, you could it froze time while you were re-aiming again.
Okay.
So like you had the AI, when you teleport out someplace, the AI might see a flicker or something, but if you did it right, then you'd flicker in, they'd be like, what was that? And then they wouldn't trigger necessarily.
Yeah.
Where's that hacker go?
What hacker?
Nothing. I was referring back to our Watch.
Oh, Watchdog. Yeah. It's stealthier, huh?
I did a no-kill run through on Dishonored 1, and I'm really looking forward to Dishonored 2. I mean, that game was I don't know. I played on mouse and keyboard, so it was maybe a little easier than with a control pad. But man, that game is super fun. Looking forward to.
I mean, if you're playing stealth mode in that game, gamepad's the way to go because you control your speed better.
Oh, your walk speed?
Yeah, your walk speed.
What?
Analog stick.
It's analog stick. You can push it a little forward. You creep. You push it a lot, so you can walk without having to crouch. Or you can be quiet without having to crouch.
I never had a problem like that, but all I know is I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh yeah,
I look forward to playing that.
The no kill, like that, Mark of the Ninja and Dishonored made me good at stealth games in a way that I had never been before.
Huh. Yeah.
So,
There's that one dude who's like standing at a desk and they had two people like walking around the room behind him. Finding out the way to get behind him and pick his pocket without killing him was, and I think you had to like put something inside his pocket, like we can get you whenever we want. Game was really well written. I'm looking forward to it. I haven't tried it yet. Hopefully it'll. I don't know if I have time for it right now, but maybe I'll buy it over the long break where I'll probably be working on it.
Does it seem like something you would play through again to see the other character?
I will almost certainly play through it at least once more, like when there's a lull in releases. And I went back and did no kill, but I don't think I did no detection in the first one.
That's
which
what
is
I meant.
really
Like,
hard.
I did both of those.
I would probably go back and try it for a no detection. With maybe so I'm playing Emily now. I think she's probably the harder choice. I don't know, maybe not. But I want to go back and play Corvo again because Corvo's dope. That game, like So the other nice thing about that game is like the kind of stealth games I like are the ones that don't punish you too bad if you fuck up and lose stealth.
Right.
So if you think about like Last of Us, where you're sneaking around all the fungus guys, and at some point they're going to detect you, and then shit's going to go bad.
And it kind of turns into a different game once that happens.
Yeah.
But it's still a good game, like still playable.
So like Last of Us, that's a game about running away from the monsters, not trying to fight them. That's the way you should be playing Dishonored, I think, is that you shouldn't try, you shouldn't stand there and try to fight all the fucking guards that come, because they're gonna be a lot of them. You'll be murdering a lot of people. And it's not cool.
You want to use your tools to evade and get away,
escape and hide. Yeah.
Okay.
And it also like the towns that you're in, the cities that you're in, when you start murdering a lot of people, they change. So there's like more rats and more blood flies, and everybody gets a little grimmer. And it's just real. Even if you kill people who are bad, the game's great.
Wow.
You should play the game.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So that's a ringing endorsement. You play anything else?
I'm bad at Hitman.
Pretty
Brad.
much. Oh man.
Will you explain Hitman to me?
What don't you understand?
I get into Paris.
Yeah.
And I see the guy that I'm supposed to murder, and I follow him around for a while, and then I get bored, so I whack a waiter on the head with a stick or something and take his clothes and leave him in a dumpster.
Yeah.
And then I can't find the guy again, or I can't get him alone from his bodyguards, or I give him explosive diarrhea or something, and like,
Sounds like you're playing Hitman.
Yeah, but I do
Never
all the
actually get
stuff
to your
up
target?
until like I can't make him shit himself to death.
Yeah.
I've tried.
Well, that's why you follow him to the bathroom and then drown him in the toilet as he is vomiting.
But when I go into the bathroom, aren't the guards going to be like, "Hey,
Oh,
don't
no.
go in this is a one stall bathroom,
Yeah.
dude."
So Dan and I spent months being terrible at Hitman.
Okay.
And then after I finished Hitman, I decided to sit down and learn how to play Hitman.
Okay.
Which I have now done. You can't take anything in that game seriously, and you can't interpret any of the behaviors of the enemy AIs as anything like realistic at all. They are robots.
You have to know it's a video game.
That game, as seriously as it presents itself, knows 100% that it's a video game and is like quietly chuckling to itself about that fact.
So the fact that they made a toilet with one stall,
Yes.
and you're supposed to go in there and murder a guy, and then the guards are standing right outside the door watching you.
Completely doesn't matter.
You could have gone to the wash your
I mean,
hands.
you can stand behind a guy on what he thinks is a private phone conversation, like creeping around behind him with a pair of scissors, and it totally does. He doesn't react at all.
Cut the phone cord.
That might be in there at some point.
But like when I put the rat poison in the drink on the bar on the boat,
Yeah.
then people immediately lost their shit. And
Well,
I
if
started
there's the little yellow caution symbol next to it, that'll tell you if anybody's looking at you when you do this, you are going to trigger a suspicion level.
and if you're in a big giant room, somebody's going to be looking at you.
Probably.
Okay.
So, they came by the office a few weeks ago, and like I asked them, I was like, did you ever think about putting like a detection meter in here? It's like, hey, how visible am I? Is anybody looking at me? Am I making sound? And they were like, yeah, we thought about it, but like we wanted there to be some level of ambiguity to that and
Well, that's kind of what the dots are, right?
create some kind of risk. So that's a specific suspicion system.
Right.
All that means is that if you get within an invisible sight cone in front of that person, they will slowly
They'll
start
know
to-
that you're not you.
Yeah.
They'll figure it out. They'll
Yeah.
put it
that's-
together.
And that's
specific-
arbitrary.
And that's for people who have the same uniform as you,
No,
or a uniform that's
that's
suspicious of you.
the thing. Like we labored under a bunch of mistaken assumptions about stuff like that for months. That was another thing they corrected us on when they came by was that, which outfit you're wearing does affect who's suspicious of you,
Yeah.
but there can easily be, like if you're wearing a police uniform, there can easily be 3 cops that don't suspect you for 1 that does or something like that. Like it's pretty random.
It's not universal.
It's not a universal rule at all.
And it's definitely like they kind of. So I just started playing Hitman. Like the tutorial kind of says this.
Yeah.
Because you're dressing up as like a member of the ship's crew and walking over to the guy who runs the boat.
The fake training boat.
The fake training boat.
Yeah.
That by the way is that thing is amazing.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's very much like he knows his crew. Like is the line I think they put in there. It's like, okay, of course he would. So it tells you right there that like there are people who are not wearing your uniform that will still technically be suspicious of you, and he's got the dot over his head, so you know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, like, literally the most important thing at any given time while you're playing that game to know is what am I wearing? What does that allow me to do? Who's looking at me right now? And what are they going to notice? Like, that's it.
So
and there are like a shocking number of things they won't notice or care about.
So that Paris mission dumps you in kind of in the deep end,
Yeah,
right? Because
yeah.
like the Cuba mission's pretty straightforward, or the one where you
Oh,
can
yeah,
training.
yeah the
stuff,
training
yeah.
mission where you
Yeah.
can ejector seat the
Talking about
guy.
the fashion show?
Yeah, the fashion
The Paris
show.
is the fashion show.
I played like half an hour of that. Like I don't know what I'm doing.
I would say the best way to learn the game is probably just to follow some of the opportunities. Like you can go in and flag them. It's
Okay.
just there's a tab called opportunities in the menu, and those are basically missions. Like those are here are different paths you can take to eliminating the story targets here.
Okay.
And if you do enough of those, and it's worth doing a bunch of them because A, they're hilarious, and B, they unlock a bunch of new gear and stuff for you. But it's worth doing those just because you will naturally get a feel for how all the outfits work and what lines of sight are and what counts as a crime.
What sorts of things you can get away with, I think, is the important thing.
Yeah, that is absolutely the crux of that. Playing that game well is knowing what you can and can't get away with, because you can get away with a lot more than common sense would dictate.
Yeah,
like the game is super goofy about that. You can do all kinds of goofy stuff that people don't care about.
Well, okay, so not to belabor the point, but like in the Paris mission, you have to kill 2 people, and one is upstairs, and she seems like she never comes downstairs.
Yeah,
there
are ways. I mean, there are things you can do. That's where following some of those opportunities will trigger some of the AI's behaviors that are pretty kind of baked in.
Or potentially, the opportunities will lead you to a costume or an outfit that will definitely get you upstairs.
There are a couple like VIP outfits in Paris that will let you waltz right upstairs when the security guards will just be like, "Hey, how's it going?"
Got it. Okay.
So there's stuff like that. And some of the stuff is a little more scripted, where like you'll go through some interactions that'll get you into a place and stuff like that.
Okay, I didn't look at those. I didn't really look at those. What are they called? Their opportunities.
Those are the things to follow when you're trying to learn the game.
Because those are things that they straight up make it a video game.
Yeah,
it takes away a lot of the clockwork stuff, and it's just like, go here, do this. Like it's very much a blueprint and an instruction manual as to like, here's a way to finish this mission.
And, like people that are like hardcore about Hitman turn off all the prompts for that stuff because they are like recipes for how to finish the mission. Like you just will go from one objective indicator to the next.
Try the challenges too, which are more vague.
Yeah, those also
kill him like this, but it doesn't dictate how.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's something like, but that's also stuff that I would want to do. Like, so I went through Paris and completed Paris, and used opportunities to get there, combined with a little bit of pre-knowledge as to here is a costume, here's a uniform that will let me get anywhere. But that became an opportunity as soon as I saw it. So it kind of it fills it in for you, and. So yeah, like I think the way I'll probably play this game is I will play each one of those maps once with all that stuff turned on, just to get a feel for like, here's a way to clear this mission. But like the fun of it is probably eventually limiting that stuff or turning it off completely and going like, okay, I now have a general sense of what this area is like, and I know one potential way to solve it. But let's actually go explore and see what's really here and see if I can piece together ways to do this stuff. The stuff I haven't really gotten good at figuring out, and I have not played that much of the game, is you see people on routes and it doesn't always seem obvious as to how to get them off their route. Like in Paris, the guy is down there with his guards walking a loop.
Yeah,
and
like I couldn't figure out how to break him out of that loop.
So the opportunity way to break him out of that loop that I eventually stumbled upon, because I saw him do it. He goes up to the bar and asks for a drink that they don't know how to make, and then I was like, okay, well, weird. And then as I was running downstairs to try to get something, like I find 2 bartenders who were going like, "Oh, you asked for some drink. I don't know how to make it." And the guy's like, "Oh, that's right. Shit, the recipe's in here." And then that pops up an opportunity. It's like, go get this recipe.
Oh, yeah, I found the recipe.
So then you find that recipe, you dress up like a bartender, and you go make the drink at the bar and poison it.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you do that, it seems like that's the sort of thing that will trigger a new loop for him to bring him back around to you a little bit sooner than he might have been around there otherwise.
And you think that the opportunities and the challenges and stuff like that teaches? Do you feel like you're better at playing the game because you did that? Like it made you think about it the right way. Okay,
100%.
Yeah, like it's a frame of mind kind of thing as much as anything else. Okay. So I don't feel like seeing one of those play out is necessarily cheating or anything like that, because I feel like there are so many different ways to see it that I'm really kind of curious to see what the default way or some of the default ways they envisioned players doing it are.
Yeah.
Just to kind of get a frame of reference for like, okay, how far off this course can I make it now?
So do you feel like there's like those things can combine in ways that they didn't anticipate? Like the developers didn't anticipate, or not really?
Sort of.
Is it too clockworky?
I mean, there are always like... There are probably dozens of ways to off people in that game, and like most of them probably work at any time. So you could probably do all kinds of goofy stuff to interrupt some of the scripted stuff that they do.
Because like in Dishonored, you can chuck a glass and distract somebody, break them out of their kind of routine.
Yeah, right. Oh, you can definitely do stuff like that. Absolutely.
Okay.
I take the coins into practically every mission I play because they're just the easiest, fastest way to just like, and like you can walk right by somebody who will like acknowledge you and say, "Hey, what's going on?" And then as long as you walk behind them so you're not in their vision cone, and then you toss a coin in front of them, they'll be like, what's going on? Who's throwing stuff? And they'll like walk over there to get it. And you could do it like with three different coins and just breadcrumb them around a corner and then go around and snap their neck. Like, it's ridiculous.
Video game.
Yes,
Video
yes,
game.
it's so stupid and hilarious.
Yeah, that game's incredible, but yeah, it is very much like a clockwork thing and not anywhere near reality.
It's not a stealth simulator. It's not like a real life simulator.
Okay.
It's
a world of assassination.
It is absolutely a world of assassination.
It's like a West world, perhaps.
Sure. Something like that.
Yeah, sort of. Everyone's a robot.
Yeah. I like that.
Yep. And on that note, we need to take our first break. Let's take our first break.
It's no time to be sleeping, but sometimes you do need to lay down.
I'm usually lying down, actually.
Actually, me
Most
too.
of the time, not sometimes.
Yeah, a good lie down is nice, and you really need a quality mattress to really maximize.
Wait, I get to lie on a mattress?
Oh yeah,
I've been using the floor.
No, come on. Look,
sometimes a pile of dirty laundry, whatever's available.
I have been there, friend, and I am here to tell you there's a better way with Lisa.
Oh wow. They're bringers of mattresses.
Exactly.
Okay.
They will bring you a mattress. You can put it right in the spot where you're laying on the floor, and then boom, mattress.
Something between me and the floor.
Yeah.
Wow.
Something soft.
Now that's luxury.
Something with some foam layers, some memory foam, some Avena. It's perforated.
Do you like some foam?
It keeps you cool.
Porous foam?
Yeah.
Okay.
The floor's not going to keep you cool.
No.
This will keep you cool. And it's made in the USA and ships for free to anywhere in the US or Canada.
Excellent.
Stop going to mattress showrooms. Stop laying on your floor.
Okay.
Get a mattress
Fine.
sent to your house.
If you insist.
And check it out. And hey, if for whatever reason you don't like it, you've got 100 nights to check out that mattress. So if on night 99, night 100, you're like, you know what? I miss the floor.
Back on the floor.
Two things. One, you're a crazy person. Two, you can send it back to them risk-free. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Says you.
Says me. You can find out more about this exciting offer by going to leesa.com/bombcast and enter the promo code bombcast at checkout, and you'll get $75 off. Get off the floor.
Fine.
Get a mattress.
Last thing I'll say about Hitman is there was an elusive target over the weekend. It was in Paris, and I did it.
Nice.
And I did it cleanly.
Yeah.
No getting caught.
Unlike Dan?
No getting spotted. Yeah. Having his failed experience to go on was definitely helpful.
Oh, soon to be on Best of Giant Bomb if you haven't seen last week's
yes.
UPF. That's
Yes.
guaranteed.
Dan gave it a blind run on UPF, used him as a guinea pig. They continue to do weird, crazy, cool stuff with those things. Like,
Awesome.
Really pushing and flexing the mechanics in ways you wouldn't expect.
That's
like,
my kind of big bummer about that game
Yeah,
so far. Is
so-
that I'm missing all this stuff because I haven't played very much, and seeing you guys do all this stuff like week in week out, and it's never going to be there again. It's kind of lame to me. I get that that's cool. For people playing the game right now,
I fully agree with you. It's a real bummer for people who haven't already gotten into it. They, for what it's worth, they do say they will keep doing them now that the regular season has ended, and will continue doing them into season 2.
Okay.
There's no reason they can't just like set a loop that runs those as like every other week.
Totally
there's a new
could.
thing,
They
right?
have. They've flat out said this is your only chance, so they would be going back on what they've said, but they absolutely could do that.
The thing about that is that they saying that and going back on it would be awesome for me, and it would be more, as long as they don't like stop doing new ones, it'd be more content for everybody. But there would be people. This is what I get out of World of Warcraft. There are people who get so upset that they've ruined the game for them because it was exclusive to me, and I would love to see them roll that back a little bit and maybe like, hey, here's a DLC pack of all the elusive targets that you're never going to see.
I would figure that they would absolutely put that content back into the game in some, even if it's in some alternate way, or if they spend like, hey, there's gonna be 3 months while we're really heads down on the second season, where we are gonna go into best of mode, and
some kind of legacy thing. Where
roll
it's like,
some of these out.
Yeah, like they might be like, you're not going to get the suit unlock that you get by doing these, but here they are if you want to do them or something like that. Yeah,
I just love. I mean, it's a promise that they made, whatever, and if they did roll it back, just the people who would get upset for no fucking good reason. And like I said, I see this all the time in World of Warcraft. Like, I forget the last big one, like some cosmetic horse mount that could drop, and it was like not dropping properly. Just the amount of just fervent anger that people get when things are totally cosmetic and don't affect them at all. Like, it's not like we're gonna go back and take away your experience of having these elusive targets.
It's the fear of missing out.
Yeah, it totally is.
And I get it. Like, I'm very torn on the way that stuff works in Hitman. Like,
Sure.
It's awesome to only have it for a weekend and feel like urgently like I got to get in front of a console and do this.
I'm sure it does
only get one
amazing
shot at
things.
it, and it feels horrible when you mess it up.
I'm sure it does amazing things for their like engagement numbers, like people logging in consistently throughout.
But it is a huge bummer for people who haven't gotten it.
I'm just stoked that we've been talking about episodic gaming for like 15 years now.
Yeah.
And somebody finally did it and it's good.
Yeah.
Like all of the bad episodic, I mean, not that the Telltale stuff, I think the Telltale stuff has its place, but like all the Half-Life and Sin and all the weird shit that came out in like 2005.
Are you talking mess about Sin episodes?
Look, Sin episodes
You mean
set the stage.
episode?
Sin episodes 1 set the stage for a really amazing story about our boy.
He didn't talk enough.
He didn't talk at all, did
I
he?
didn't know no.
Sin episodes was terrible.
Yeah, it was
It was
bad.
really.
Is that the one where the girl had like the thong riding up above her?
Oh,
thing
yeah,
the
I'm
entire
not
time?
sure.
That's those models very popular in Gary's mod.
poorly
Ah,
aged.
the lack of one-liners just killed it for me.
Sin, on the other
great
hand.
game.
Yeah, Sin is a good
If it
game.
hadn't come out a week before Half-Life.
Still a great game.
Yeah.
Wasn't
that's
there
my
a game?
That's my Half-Life.
You know, my favorite from that 2-week period is Heretic 2.
Okay.
Heretic 2 is a
Heretic 2
great
is a great
fucking
too.
game.
Yeah.
What game came out before Half-Life 2 that Valve was really mad about because they wanted to be the first Source game? Wasn't that?
It was Sin.
Wasn't it Sin?
I think it might have been. That sounds right.
Like those
Sin
Sin,
wasn't
Heretic 2, Sin. No,
Maybe not.
There was no Source then. They were all
Yeah.
Quake 1.5.
Oh, right.
I'm talking about
right.
Half-Life 2 was Source Engine at launch.
Counter.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
the Counter-Strike Source beta had been out before
Yeah,
Half-Life 2.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not sure what you mean.
I'm vaguely. All I know about Hitman is that I want to play that game a lot, but my
Yeah.
girlfriend likes to watch me play video games when I play it, and I'm so fumbling around and waiting, and I get really self-conscious about how unentertaining it is to like, walk around not knowing what I'm doing that I get
yeah.
nervous about it.
Make her a party. Make her your driver. She's your handler.
backseat.
She's your driver.
Backseat driver.
We'll see. I mean, I really want to dig into that game more, but there's so many things out there right now.
Yeah, it is a good one though.
It's a good year for stealth games.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
It's a good year for games.
Yeah.
It is. It really
Overall.
is.
Shooter campaigns,
really has been.
like a lot
Yeah.
of good ones of those.
Yeah.
Like it's just
Yeah.
crazy.
I'm sure you guys talked about Call of Duty, but man, that Infinite Warfare campaign goes to some real fucking weird places.
It does.
It's really,
Yeah.
really not at all what I was expecting.
Yeah.
And kind of fun.
I enjoyed it
Yeah.
a lot. It's the only really solid part of that whole package. I think.
I didn't look at multiplayer. But.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. There's some good variety to it. The flight stuff, I think, is good. They maybe return to it a little too much over the course of it. If you end up doing all the side missions, you spend maybe a little too much time dogfighting.
It seemed like they kind of like were like, hey, we need to make this a little longer. Let's just these are easy to crank out.
Yeah.
Watching you play that a little bit of that multiplayer and single player. I was totally thinking of what it was when you shoot people and they go flying up real slow. It's the end of Half-Life 2 when you have the gravity gun, super powered.
Oh yeah.
Right.
It totally reminded me of something in the moment. I totally forgot what it was until just now.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like they managed to make that campaign feel like grim and fucked up in a way that I feel like they have not in years.
Also, maybe a little too real.
Yeah. I mean, the end credits of that game are, they are masterful in a lot of ways. In the ways that they kind of like I said, it's a little grim, it's a little messed up, and they play that stuff really well. It's not necessarily for shock value the way it's like, oh, your protagonist died. Oh, no Russian. Like,
Press X to pay respects.
Yeah, like I think they do a good job with like making you sort of care about the characters in that game, and then killing a lot of them in ways that you can go like, okay, well, all right, that's
real,
interesting, and real, and it feels like it matters, as opposed to just like nameless guy blowing up behind you, and or nameless protagonist getting nuked.
Well, it's like the first, the first Modern Warfare was the last time the last one that I played that they did that really well with.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're playing the guy that's in Saudi Arabia or wherever it's someplace in the Middle East and they get nuked,
right?
You're like, this is something I've never fucking seen before in a video game. This is
Yeah.
incredible. I was legitimately sad about a video game.
Like he's like you're playing it in first person as he dies.
Yeah, like they do a good job of just like, oh, you play as multiple protagonists. You've done this before in other Call of Duty games anyway, and then like
by the
having it be
way.
like, oh, by the way, this guy's only here for this. So that we can yank this rug out from under you. It's an amazing moment.
Yeah.
And then by the time we got to No Russian,
then it was just like karaoke of that first moment.
sort of.
Like No Russian was
No Russian
effective,
was really effective,
but it also definitely
but-
felt like them feeling like they had to top themselves.
like let's ratchet it up from this,
yeah.
and I think that robs it of some of its power.
Yeah.
And then everything after that has just been like, well, we're gonna give you a warning in the game that there's maybe some extreme content in here, and then you go and it's like, well, they blew up Paris, and you saw a little girl maybe not make it in that. That I guess they would have taken out if they.
13-year-olds love playing Call of Duty. Not that only they like playing it, but that is something that is really parents buy for their kids all the time. And if I was watching them, I remember No Russian came on, and my 13-year-old like shooting a bunch of civilians, I'd be fucking pissed off too.
I think most of the 13-year-olds are going straight online, right?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, doesn't Modern Warfare 3 like destroy New York or something like that?
Probably.
Like I feel like the opening mission of that game is just a giant battle in New York or something.
You're probably yes. Is it DC?
Or maybe I don't know.
I forget.
It's kind of a blur.
I totally forget. But like there were scenes of torture and stuff like that have been like behind that wall of do you turn off the extreme content, then you don't get this sweet torture.
Yeah.
Whereas Grand Theft Auto 5, just here's Trevor.
Here's sweet torture.
Putting some screws literally too, dude.
Buy a shark card.
That entire game probably deserves a content warning.
I mean, it's on the box. It's an M rating, right?
It's GTA 5. You know what you're getting when you get a GTA game.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I don't know. It's good. It's been a good year for games.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Fucking some good times.
Yes. Rory, you've been...
World of Warcraft is...
Oh, boy.
No.
Speaking of good games...
I actually haven't been playing a huge amount of World of Warcraft. A1, I can't stream from my current setup. I need to get like some actual cable in there. But also just like I've been playing a fair amount of it, but I'm in that like first little lull of like logging into the daily stuff. And then like I can go out and I'm gonna go watch a movie or something
else. You've been playing some Tyranny, haven't you?
I did. Yeah. I played up to where we got in the quick look. And like I said, I think at the end of that, there was a warning in the notes for the press, like, hey, please don't show anything beyond this one moment. And I think I was about there. And it's not like a pre-release thing. It's like, hey, there's big spoilers for the game, so please don't show anything there. That's the kind of game, like with Pillars of Eternity, same engine. And all those games, really, you talk about like restarting games, or I don't know if we did or if that was just in my head, but all those games you need, like, I put in like maybe 5 or 6 hours into Tyranny, I think, or between a couple playthroughs, and like it's one of those things where you get to that point and then you feel like you can go backwards to restart it and kind of know the systems a little more. Because you're making your first character in that game and you're doing it totally blind. Like you have no idea what anything does. It'd be even worse if you didn't have D&D behind your thing, because there's 6 stats and everything else and skills and everything. But if you were just coming in blind, it'd be pretty awful. But so yeah, I think I'm gonna play through more of that. And I don't know. It seems really polished and well done, but I haven't put in a huge amount of time to it.
So very much in that mold of the Infinity Engine type stuff.
Yeah. I mean it's straight up real interesting. And there's some weird behind the scenes stuff too that I'm really curious about too, because I know Chris Avellone left Obsidian as that game was like ramping up development, and he's had some pretty harsh things to say.
Yeah, I looked up some of the quotes that he's given about leaving that studio too, and
it sounded like it was kind of related to that project. I don't really talk to anybody at Obsidian anymore. We're all Facebook friends, and we kind of post dog pictures online. But
you post dog pictures?
I do, a little bit here and there. I've had multiple people offer to buy a book if I make a dog poetry book.
You should make.
I think about it. But the problem is I don't own all the.
Yeah, wouldn't you have to go get releases from like every photo you've ever taken?
I'd have to take all the pictures myself, which would be strenuous and awful, and I don't know if I have the.
Seems like a lot of work.
I have to find dogs and then take pictures of them.
I mean, nobody should ever really make a book.
Yeah, no, it's just it's a bad move.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Suckery scam.
Yeah.
And apart from that, I did, like you guys talking about your uploads during the break, and I bought a new 500 gig hard drive or SSD, and I brought it into work to install these games because CBS got bandwidth to spare. I didn't want to have to download 500 gigs of games that I wanted to reinstall.
Yeah.
So I reinstalled like GTA 5 and Shadow of Mordor. I've been spending a little time on because that game is top notch.
Yep.
Hasn't aged well in the graphics department over the last couple years.
It was a little muddy even when it came out.
Yeah, I'm on the PC and everything's maxed, and it still looks kind of disappointing. But
that was still, they were making cross generation games at that time.
Yeah,
that thing
came
out on 360.
It was Lith Tech too.
Yeah.
I mean,
was it Lith Tech?
No, it's not Lith Tech.
Man, that's blast
is it?
past.
You can
I
see
don't know.
Contract Jack all over that.
Actually, I don't know.
But yeah, so I restarted Shadow of Mordor, and I've been kind of holding. I have a coupon code for Watch Dogs 2, because I bought that SSD. Samsung had a big deal for buy $150 500 gig SSD and get a code for Watch Dogs 2. Yeah, no,
you put that code in, they're going to get your SSD, man.
Yeah, well, it's
and you know it's going to be a Uplay code.
I don't mind.
Not a Steam code
I have
that
them all
then
installed.
turns into a Uplay thing.
I have it all.
Yeah.
So I have Uplay, Origin, GOG, whatever the other one is.
Any old launcher.
Humble.
Yeah. People get really upset about that shit, but it's not. It's hey. I don't.
For me, it's a matter of like I have a lot of games installed in a lot of different places,
Sure.
and it's easier. Even if it's going to launch Uplay as an intermediary, it's easier for me to launch that out of Steam.
Can't you add Steam other games to the Steam?
It doesn't work
interface?
very well.
Yeah, it's always dicey, I guess.
The like Gears of War. I put Gears of War on my. You can only install it to your C drive.
No, you can change. You can
they have
install
changed that finally?
The Windows Store lets you
Okay.
pick install location. No.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I was looking at my C drive, which is an SSD, and I was
Uh-huh.
like, "Why is there? Where did I lose 120
There it
gigabytes or
is,
something
it's right
insane?
there.
Guess what?
Yeah.
Buried in a hidden
Run
folder.
the Jewels
Yeah.
pack.
Yeah.
I now have 3 SSDs and I want to say 5 hard drives in my system. So
Jesus,
it's like,
man.
I have room. I actually, when I installed Titanfall 2, I didn't have enough space on my SSD, which is why I bought the new one, and that went to a hard drive, and that was actually really easy enough to do. It's just a little longer load, but for something like World of Warcraft, you want an SSD, anything with a lot of loads, but Titanfall 2 is totally fine. So that experience, I haven't installed a game to a hard drive in forever, and like knowing that if I do another single player multiplayer campaign where there's one load every 20 minutes and whatever, it's totally fine. But yeah, I've been kind of working through all that stuff, and then I'm looking forward to. I really want to play Dishonored 2, but it's just a matter of finding time. Yeah. Like, we all have such a busy fucking November and December. Like, we're about to launch some stuff in the store, and then all through, December is always busy support-wise and everything like that. And I still have to put up that Extra Life raffle, which I'm going to do pretty soon, which I talked about before. But I'm just going to make that extended. I figured out that you can actually download everybody who ever donates to Extra Life in a CSV, so that'll make my job a lot easier to get all that stuff on. We talked about it on UPF a couple weeks ago. I'll put up something on a forum post hopefully today or tomorrow.
Okay.
The thing about Dishonored is you kind of can't do those levels like halfway and then stop, and you can come back, I guess, but it's much easier to just start at the beginning and spend the hour and a half or 2 hours and play.
I can
all
just
the way
make a
through
save
level.
sometimes at the beginning because I want to say that I did a no kill, no detection thing in Dishonored 2, but like that or Dishonored 1 and Deus Ex I did the same thing. But you get to the end of the game and then you don't get the achievement and like, what did I fucking go wrong? I'm pretty sure at Deus Ex I knocked somebody out and like threw him down a little storm pipe and he fell down 5 feet and died. I wish those games would tell you feedback like.
You could put up a thing. You could check the box that says, "Hey, let me know if I accidentally murder some fool."
Exactly.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, because like Dishonored tells you at the end of every kind of section or level
but
or whatever,
they're
right?
long.
But that's long.
It's like an hour and a half, 2. Like if you. So I accidentally sleep darted a guy who was standing on a ledge and he just went over
that
a cliff.
counts, huh?
That
That's
counts.
not you, man. What?
Right. Or let's see, I what did I do? I dominoed somebody. So domino lets you hook two people's lives
right.
together.
Yeah.
And the guard beat a guy to death. And then that killed the guard too. Wow. That counts.
That's a biblical.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's. I said earlier that my Watch Dogs playthrough was non-lethal, but I should add that I'm still calling in gang hits on people that are then just getting murdered in horrible ways.
Just you're not doing it, so
Yeah.
See, that's fair, though.
my
Your hands aren't
are
bloody.
clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes me want to play that game more than anything. Like the ability to just put the finger on some poor bastard.
It's fun because like it really exploits like some of the dumbest stuff in that game of like I'm gonna watch the AI be the AI, and I'm gonna watch the AI fight and engage with the AI in some of the dumbest ways possible.
Go back to Doom 2. That shit was always some of the funnest thing to do.
Yeah.
It's like,
So
hey,
it's
I'm
like-
gonna start some shit and then hang back and watch.
Cop car pulls up, gangsters right there. The gangsters are just, I called the gang on someone. So the gang came, killed someone, and then just stood there.
Well, you got to make sure
Idle.
nobody's going to start some shit.
Yeah. And then the cops showed up. They get out of their car and start shooting in the direction of these gangsters from about 6 feet away, missing. The guys in the gang are still just standing there. They eventually get back in their car. Then the cops keep shooting, which then triggers them to get out of the car and get in a gunfight. They then kill the cops and then get back in their car and drive away in this shoddy way. And it was like, all right, yep. That's
an open
exactly
world game.
that is exactly what I want to see in that game. Is that level of fucking just broken.
but in a really dumb, hilarious
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
Are they gonna make another Saints Row?
Almost definitely.
Not in a while though.
They've
They're
got
working
Agents
on
of Mayhem
they're doing a
happening
different
right
game
now.
right
I
now.
don't even know what that is.
So it's a similar open world kind of game.
When's that Crackdown game coming out?
Never. I don't know.
know.
Next year, like it would almost have to be next
I
year.
assumed it was going to be a
Scorpio launch.
Yeah, I bet
that's
anything
at this point
it's a
that
Scorpio
seems that seems right to me. But
They're gonna. Well, I'm talking about open world. Another Infamous ever? You think?
They did one. on PS4.
Second Son, I know.
And like a little weird add-on.
Yeah,
No, I guess it
was on Fetch.
It wasn't an add-on, right? It was
like a standalone
standalone.
They were great. I love those games.
Yeah. I don't know, but
I say love, but I mean, I had a really, really fucking good. That was the first game I played on PS4 that made me feel like, holy shit. This is
that was
just
a
Oh, yeah.
It was a really good looking game.
And that's got a PlayStation Pro patch. So if you
Oh wow.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So
I bet Infamous is done for a while.
Yeah.
I got a Pro and realized that I have literally no games. I mean, I have Ratchet and Clank, which I'm probably not going to go back to at this point, even though I like that game.
It's worth looking at because Ratchet actually looks noticeably
good?
better.
Okay.
But it's worth spending like 30 seconds with it going, okay,
okay.
this all looks really nice. And I've only done that on a 1080 TV so far, but yeah, it looks good.
I hooked it up to my monitor, which is a 4K. So
How do you get audio into that? Because I only have like it's HDMI. I don't have speakers on my monitor, which I probably should.
I have my monitor has an optical out. I think.
Oh, okay.
My monitor can make sound go to the speakers. I don't remember how it works.
Huh.
I don't remember how I set it up.
My monitor shows up in Windows as having audio device
an
on it.
HDMI.
But
There's
Yeah.
probably
So mine
getting
has-
HDMI signal, but
you
you
have-
don't have speakers.
You have one of those curved LGs,
no, it's a Dell like
curved Dell.
U3011 or something. It's not curved.
Oh, so the LG curved has speakers in it.
Oh.
The 4K doesn't. I don't think. I can't remember.
Even for like, I mean, I'm sure it's all cost, but like, I've never missed speakers on a monitor
Yeah,
until
same
I
here.
tried to put in HDMI and it just didn't work, and I didn't want to fucking deal with audio out from somewhere else. So.
Well, so for the monitor, having speakers is actually kind of a bummer because it means like when the monitor restarts or whatever, then Windows sound always defaults back to that thing.
I get that with my TV all the time.
Yeah.
My monitor, so I have two monitors hooked up. One, the DVI one is just like whatever, not a big deal. But every time I turn off the HDMI one, it removes itself from Windows and everything moves over to this other monitor.
I
And
have
then
a
it never-
DisplayPort
it's
does
all
that too.
It's all
Like
fucked
it's
up.
really
all fucked up.
Windows 10 is great for me, and it's
I'm sorry, it is DisplayPort. It's not HDMI. Yeah.
It's been fine for me. It's way better at scaling a 4K monitor and a 1080 monitor and like making everything look not huge and small. But when it seems like every time I want to turn off my TV or like make it not be it outputted there, it's like I right click on one monitor and it goes to the exact opposite monitor that then I have to turn on and like find the menu and do all that shit there.
Yeah.
Doing any kind of display settings work in Windows 10 is almost always that'll pop up behind what I already have turned off. Like invariably. I don't know how it knows. It just like it hates me.
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
I was just gonna say my monitor is 11 years old. And I don't have any of these problems.
Do you have a 2405? Dell
It's
2405?
It's the 20-inch version, not the 24-inch.
Wow.
But yeah, like
Everybody at GameStop bought them like
Yeah,
that.
that my second monitor is that monitor rotated.
That's what I have. I have a 2405.
It only takes DVI and it doesn't do any scaling. It will only scale down to like one other 4:3 resolution and the default resolution. But luckily GPUs can scale now.
Yeah.
But
Brad, it might be time.
I don't know.
You could get one of those
It
sweet
still works.
G-Syncs. You know, you
It
can
still works.
adaptive refresh
I don't know.
rate,
It looks all right.
full sRGB.
I've been
That's
thinking about
probably
that
the
shit.
next. That's probably the next PC thing.
the Asus-
after building that machine, it's definitely like let's go 144 hertz G-Sync. Let's fucking go.
I've seen so many of those Predator monitors. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, I want it.
I've never actually seen one running
I played
outside of trade
Titanfall
shows.
on. I saw it at a company thing.
Got $1,200 to spend.
And was just like, fuck.
Well,
That's
you know, I
nice.
got
It's
that
real nice.
Kickstarter money rolling.
That's right. Yeah. You can
Spend it on monitors.
Pull it in. That's
No,
We're not
Step
spending
one.
your Kickstarter money on monitors.
probably not a good idea.
this is the whole thing is to get away from monitors.
Yeah.
You strap the monitor to
strap
your
the monitor
face.
on your face.
That's the idea now.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Drew,
Yes.
you want to give us a fly-in update?
A flying update.
Yeah, how's that been going?
Good. It's been a little cloudy.
Okay.
And I've forgotten my sunglasses a couple of times, and I'm been doing a lot of pattern work. So a lot of just circling around the airport and flying right into the sun, which is real tough.
Yeah, I bet.
Also, like emergency stuff. Like, well, your engine's gone. What do you do?
Yeah. Oof. They don't actually cut the engine on you, do they?
He pulls the throttle all the way out.
Whoa.
So it goes way down on the RPMs.
Yeah.
Also, I've been wearing glasses in the plane, not sunglasses, like spectacles, because I'm doing lasers next week. And so I can't use sunglasses there either.
Jeez.
Like when somebody on the ground is like pointing a laser at your plane?
No.
Simulate that?
Yeah. Yes, but very, very fine, and then my vision gets better instead of worse.
If you want, like I can help you with that. I have a laser. We can.
Oh,
we
yeah?
can do that right now if you want to just cut out the middle.
Okay.
I
I'll do
bought
it
that
cheaper.
laser that'll burn boxes.
Yeah.
Burn cardboard and stuff. We could just Yeah.
Is it wicked?
It's
is it
very.
blue?
It is extremely wicked.
Yeah.
It
It is green.
Oh, it's green?
Yeah.
Oh,
And you
never
guys
mind.
watch the
Can't do green.
Raiders
All right.
game last night? The Raiders. It was in
I do
Mexico
watch some
City,
football.
and there was so it was a huge Raiders crowd, and every time the Texas quarterback went to go back to throw, lasers fucking all over his had the big.
Wow.
Yeah, he said it was really fucking annoying.
Holy crap.
Oh, that's terrible.
It was a really good game. If you're a Raiders fan, if you're a Texans fan, you're probably pretty mad right now.
Yikes.
I think the refs were going the Raiders' way because they didn't want to get fucking murdered or something like that. Because it looked like that crowd base was very much pro Raiders, but there are some real fishy calls. But lasers, I hope that doesn't catch on in NFL stadiums. But
I mean, that's straight out of the '90s and 2000s.
Yeah.
The
You know,
movie
that-
screens,
like,
yeah.
yeah, movie screens, wrestling
yeah.
events.
Yeah, I
Like,
think most stadiums are probably cracking down on that stuff.
I
yeah,
saw-
you can go back and watch like old wrestling pay-per-views and just see
Yeah,
like
I'm
the
sure.
Undertaker covered in lasers.
I'm feeling crowd control for that guy. There's 87,000 people in that stadium, and like seeing the one dude doing this a little bit must be really fucking tough.
But if they can, like, you know, if they have the right stuff, they can do it, right? Because, like, you know, you shine it at a plane, they'll come get you. They figured
those
that out,
videos
that's
are
for sure.
real cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many hours you got, Drew?
I think I'm somewhere between 15 and 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
Getting there. You need about like 100 probably to get your license.
I mean, it depends on how good you are.
Are you
like
good?
how fast you pick it up.
Do you have the touch?
I'm all right.
There's
Okay.
like tests and stuff, right?
Yeah,
What is-
there's a test that you take before you can fly it solo, and then there's a test you take at the end before you get your license.
Is that the one where the instructor just opens the door with his parachute, jumps out, and is like, "Well,
Right.
good luck, land this motherfucker."
Pretty much. Yeah. You know what's really hard is communication.
Really?
Like deciphering what the tower is saying to you. They go so fast. And then you've got to respond and really nail it. So
Well-
that's a nice little anxiety attack at a few thousand feet.
Aren't there flight sims that you can like load up and there'll be simulated like actual
Yeah.
people simulating
So
air
there-
traffic control and
there
stuff
are,
like that?
There are plugins for like X-Plane and Microsoft Flight Simulator. I think it's called VATSIM,
Yeah.
Virtual Air Traffic Simulator,
Yeah,
where
I've seen
people
those, yeah.
network together and then actually do air traffic communication. You can also tune in like over the internet to ATC.
Just to get practice.
Yeah, just to get
to
your
plan.
ear attuned to it. But
I
it's
love-
a lot.
I love channel. What is it on United? It's channel 8. You can always listen to the ATC
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
cockpit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's neat.
We tested. We went and found a guy in the East Bay who had, I want to say, a 727-600 cockpit that he had bought in like
Took to burning.
Oh, I remember that
Bakersfield.
video.
And he chopped he just bought the cockpit of the plane and then put it
Yeah.
on a truck, cut a hole in his garage to get it in, and has a working 727 cockpit that he's all wired up to X-Plane and stuff.
Yeah.
And that dude is an air traffic controller. So he goes home from his day job where he's air traffic controlling to fly airplanes
Yikes.
with other people working the air traffic control side
That's like
simulated.
I had a cousin of mine or something who was an ATC, and he drank too much, and they made him stop doing it.
Yeah.
Stop drinking or stop doing the job?
Something to the job apparently, because they were pretty serious about
Oh,
I
it's
think,
it's
drug tests.
it's,
and
it's
Yeah,
supposed
man.
to it's supposed
Yeah.
to be like maybe the most stressful job.
What's
that's
also
why they
or-
picked the wrong week to quit stuff and glue.
it's also for a long time it was the best job the most high paying job you can get that doesn't require a college degree.
Didn't Reagan do something? Weren't they striking or something?
They
Yeah.
There was a strike.
And then
at
he
one
fired
point.
all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was the great uniter.
Great debater.
They what's the Billy Bob Thornton John
Pushin'
Cusack movie?
10.
Pushin' 10.
yeah,
With,
right.
That's where he met. What's her face?
Angelina Jolie.
Angelina
Yeah.
got married. No.
Yeah.
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 I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll stop talking now.
All right.
Pushin' 10.
Yep. Thanks.
Tin Cup.
10 Men.
Yeah.
Drew, any games
Repo Man.
you want to talk about?
Mhm.
I finished that Titanfall.
Okay.
Campaign?
Oh, let's talk about that again.
I need to get back to that.
Game's so fucking
I haven't
good.
been that emotionally attached to a robot since Dog. And
Yeah.
Half-Life 2.
Yeah.
Who's also Dog that
Sure.
helped, but
Sure.
that was
Yeah.
that
Good
game
solid
goes
campaign.
There's
places.
some really fucking cool shit near the end of that thing.
Yeah.
Yes, I am
Or in
looking
the middle
forward
of that thing also.
to
But
talking
being
about it
too.
during Game of the Year times.
yeah, that's coming up.
But yeah, I've just been like going through the backlog, things I missed. Played about an hour and a half of Hitman, and spent the good majority of it on that like first tutorial mission
Yeah,
in the boat.
yeah,
Not because like I couldn't get past it, but because I just wanted to mess around.
Yeah. Totally.
Like those challenges are really fun.
Yeah.
Like
I love their little fake helicopter.
Yes.
Oh, it's so good.
Everything-
Like finishing the mission by walking up and seeing like, oh, this fake helicopter, and realizing like, oh, that's a working exit because this is a training mission.
Yeah.
right.
That's
I
just-
took the fake boat,
yeah,
fake
yeah.
speedboat.
For people that haven't seen it, it's a little boat map, but it's all fake.
It's all
And
like
everything-
plywood.
It's like a training
everything is built
mission.
out of like plywood with canvas.
Yeah.
Like stretched over
Like
it.
an
it's-
in-universe
it's-
training
Yeah,
mission.
it's like super goofy and really
I
fun.
wonder how they set that up, that organization. I bet they were all like enslaved, kidnapped subjects that have to play out this little.
But they're really
scenario.
selling it. They didn't.
Yeah,
phone
they
it in.
they do okay.
It's like
Yeah,
Professor
they,
Layton,
they,
right?
They take that
Yeah.
fire extinguisher to the face very convincingly.
It's a training fire extinguisher. It's not a real one. It's
Oh,
fine.
rubber.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Don't worry. They're okay.
They really sell the fall. Though.
Yeah.
I wish that the little plywood helicopter, like the thing started spinning and actually flew up.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
That would be good.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then, I don't know if I should get into this too much, but before Game of the Year times, but I played some Stardew Valley as well.
Oh,
Ooh.
yeah.
That was on sale, I think, recently.
God,
Oh, yeah?
that came out this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, like early, very early.
Yeah, yeah.
What is that game?
It's
What
a
is it?
farming. It's
Life.
like an overhead perspective, like farming and action game,
Oh, okay.
and like social simulate. You know, you build a farm, you grow crops, you make friends with
Dating
people.
sim.
and
Harvest
try to-
Moonish
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
sense.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
play
like
that
it's like an
one.
indie
Yeah.
Harvest Moon kind of thing.
That's why it's
The
kind
only
of
thing
a
I
Terraria
played
thing.
Animal Crossing for like half an hour, and
It's
I
not-
had no idea
okay,
why anybody
you
would
probably
ever.
wouldn't be super into this.
Yeah.
Then
I was absolutely bored to tears.
Ah,
I had
really?
to force myself to play it for an
Yeah,
hour. Like
okay.
I need to give this a shot.
Yeah,
That game's just not for me.
yeah.
Like
That's fine.
it makes me question life in a bad way.
Yeah.
I've got it installed. Yeah, I haven't. I'm gonna check it out here pretty soon. Here, before,
I
before we
totally
get into these
understand
talks.
why people love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just not for me.
My theory on that game is that I think a lot of people just engage like with the one system that they like. Whether if they're farming people, if they're Harvest Moon people, they play the farming game. If they're weird Japanese dating sim people, they play the dating thing, and you do as much of the other stuff as you can to play the part of the game. But it's a lot of game.
And it's got a day night cycle
Yeah.
to it, to where you have to get it all in a set amount of time. That's the part where I look at it and go like, there's a lot of stuff here that really speaks to me, but I don't know if I want to play this game. And it's like, I don't like playing games where you have to like fit in everything over the
Yeah.
course of a day and
There's
then
like a
go
real,
to
like,
sleep and then
Efficiency aspect to it.
yeah, like that's where it crosses the line and becomes like work.
See, I like
And-
that because then it prevents me from doing the Civ thing where I just get in a hole of min maxing that never ends, and the day night cycle breaks that for me enough that like it helps me not be super OCD about it. But like that was the kind of game I would have played the shit out of when I was like 13 and had a lot of free time.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah, I feel like Animal Crossing is maybe more my speed. But whatever, I'll get into it. Like, I remember when we did that quick look, I remember coming away from it going like, man, that thing seems dangerous in terms of how many hours you could drop to
Yeah,
it.
I
But,
didn't damn to like 100 or something.
something
It's
like
some
that, yeah.
crazy number.
Yeah.
And then Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah.
Beat that train.
Nice.
Yeah.
How'd you beat it?
You fought that train.
I didn't suplex anything.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah. I don't know. I just hit it a bunch.
Yeah,
of
you just hit the train over and over.
Is 6 SNES 3?
Yes.
Okay.
FF3 with
Yep.
the Wendigo.
It's a good
the
game.
Weird secret
is.
ice.
It's a great game.
I'm playing the GBA version
Nice.
on my micro.
I'm glad you're keeping up with it.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to check in with you as
I
that
feel
thing
like-
progresses because it takes some turns.
Yeah. I just feel like I need to beat a Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
One of them.
Yeah.
One of 'em.
Like I've dabbled a little bit here and there, and I'm actually like, this is making me look forward to 15.
No, I don't know. No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say
Well,
you
we'll
shouldn't
see.
put.
They're very different things.
Yes.
Yeah, it
yes.
is.
Totally
15
understand, and
15
like
is
they're not
weirdly different.
contiguous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
They put
like
out-
I think I'm giving these games a shot in a way that I haven't before.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like just pacing myself or getting myself used to these kinds of games because I do think there's a part of me that does like just what they have to offer. So
Yeah, it's weird there because there are different eras of Final Fantasy, and 6 is kind of the end of the first era
yeah,
of NES and SNES Final Fantasies, and then like the PlayStation years were very much a different thing,
Yeah.
or mostly a different thing.
They put out a 9-minute trailer for Final Fantasy.
Right,
15
and now
recently.
we're in like I guess what you would call like a third era, where that series has gotten strange. And,
So,
and
I don't know if
different
they
again.
ever say anything different, but like all the protagonists of the new games have been so insufferable, like Tidus and the kid from FF12. And now this new just that weird hair look and everything like that is always just I have to force myself to play the games despite not really liking any of the characters. And this one looks like more of the same. Like I went through the 9-minute long trailer explains what each person is doing, and they all just seem like the old stereotype, like young kid who has to overcome challenges to lead the universe, and then the goofy sidekick, and then the stern sidekick, and then whatever. And it's nothing I've seen about 15 has really made me super enthusiastic.
Yeah. For me, it's like it's the changes they're doing on the gameplay side that make me kind of potentially interested in it. Just looking at it as more of like this kind of actiony thing. But I don't know. Yeah,
I really hope it's good. 13 was. I took as long as it's taken for me to get through a Final Fantasy game. I stopped when you got to the big open part of it, or right before that, I think, and just lost steam.
Yeah, and that comes so late in that game. It's ridiculous. Like you've been waiting and waiting for like, man, this has got to open up at some point, right? I want to explore a little bit, and it happens in the back, like not even fourth, like maybe like the last fifth of the game or something.
It's 13-2. 13-2. I got 5 hours in and just stopped, and then 13-3. I just did the demo. Like nope.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I'm sure this is a different team than all those because they spent like 9 years on it. I saw that this used to be FF13 Versus, and that I saw the premiere announcement of that at GameSpot like 2006 or 7,
I believe, is when that happened.
God damn.
Yep. It's been a while.
Man.
Yeah. Yep.
Really,
there's
crazy.
a lot. I've heard like bet the studio kind of shit on this game. Like they have spent so much time.
They spent a lot of money
and everything. And marketing budget seems to be crazy.
And they got that World of Final Fantasy out, which seems like a really like that kid just came out relatively recently. That just seems like a weird fucking game.
It is weird. It's a. I mean, there's so much Pokemon in it. The combat all revolves around collecting monsters and evolving them and stuff like that, and
stacking them on your damn head.
And there is a decent amount of nostalgia in it, but it's like kind of.
It seems cheeky.
Yeah, it's definitely that. I don't want to call it slapdash, but it's sort of random. Like I feel like, from what I played of it, I felt like you were kind of having to work a lot for a little bit of nostalgia.
Sure.
There was a lot of like more modern Final Fantasy you were kind of slogging through for like a 5-10 minute appearance of your favorite character.
Hey, maybe that depends on what you have nostalgia for.
Yeah,
if
sure.
If you're like, I want to see the amazing moments of Final Fantasy X,
right?
Then
like it seems like there are a lot of Final Fantasy VII characters in there.
Of course.
So if you're into that, that'll probably make you happy. But
right,
like some of the stuff I was coming to it for doesn't seem as well represented.
They haven't said anything more about that 7 remake, have they?
I mean, other than they put out footage of it at some point.
Game Awards is soon, right?
Yeah,
that's
it is.
You'll see that stuff there, right?
First?
I don't know if they've said anything about that game being there.
No, I mean, but like that's the last hit for new stuff.
Yeah,
there
will always
this
be.
Year,
Be a bunch
well,
of
it's
the
PlayStation Experience.
Oh yeah,
actually
right.
is that same weekend or whatever.
Is Microsoft doing something too this year?
I don't think they are.
No.
They did something last year, right? Or did they just have a press conference
I think
or
they just had
something?
a press conference,
Okay.
or not even that. They just had
like a stream.
Yeah.
X16.
Yeah. Bring it back.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
All right. That's the games we've been playing. Why don't we move on to some news for the week?
Sure.
Read a few of the headlines from around the video game industry. It's kind of slow right now. Most of the games are out.
Yeah.
There's like 2-3 games more to come.
A lot of the news is that people who work at video game studios are working away on next year's games, or
basically.
patching some of this year's games, or both.
Yep.
And then some of them are going on vacation this week.
Playing Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But a few things happened, and I have gathered them here, so I'll go through this stuff. EA has launched an effort, judging by their German blog, to start like very explicitly labeling a lot of their YouTube or kind of social media content, sponsored content.
Right.
When they're doing
Content they are sponsoring.
Yes, when they're out there doing brand deals with streamers and YouTubers and stuff like that.
Oh, custom content.
So like when they pay you guys to do a quick look of their latest game.
Of course, which they always do.
Yeah, every one of
this
those
works. Jeez.
I should. Yeah.
Someone out there is taking that seriously.
Sarcasm doesn't come
wait a
across.
minute.
Yeah.
Like we have to sit here and actually say like nobody has ever paid us for a quick look
of any
It's
kind.
Like, it's like alarming how often people seem to think that takes place.
I'll give you $3 if you let me sit in on a quick look.
But I mean, like honestly, the way that EA is approaching this,
Spoken like a man running a Kickstarter. Okay, well, let people pay you $3 to sit in on a quick look.
Yeah,
That's how this goes.
look at all those $3 is.
Yeah.
ultimately, like the way they're going about this, if people follow their lead, like we would never have to make that disclaimer again, theoretically, because
everyone else would disclaim this stuff.
right? Because their effort is that they've created some like very large and explicit branding, that indicates exactly what their involvement is with people's content. I don't actually. I've got the two images in front of me.
How did they say? Like we gave streamer X $10,000 to make this video?
They don't do that, but
It's
they've got two like watermarks that they've basically provided now.
Yeah, that are like it's like sponsored by EA.
Yeah,
supported by EA.
Supported by EA, and then one that they both have the EA logo on them. One of them
Yeah.
says supported by EA, and the other one just says advertisement with the EA logo.
Oh, okay.
So does this try to head off the FTC stuff before
Or
it
I mean,
happens?
the FTC stuff is already kind of in progress.
Yeah,
but
well, like
not.
Warner
but
Brothers-
it needs to be more.
Warner Brothers
Yeah.
got dinged
Yeah.
last year. It's been a little while, but they got dinged over Shadow of Mordor stuff. And yeah, this just seems like EA trying to get out in front of that. The supported by EA one is for basically situations where EA has like paid for the people doing the content to have some access to the game in terms of paying for their travel, putting them up,
production cost or whatever.
yeah,
Okay.
giving them copies of the game, like stuff like that. But that they didn't actually like establish editorial guidelines for what they can and can't say. Advertisement is like literally we paid you to say nice things about this.
So hold on, does that mean if they gave you like a Battlefield 1 code, you would have to put supported by on?
That's how I understand it.
The current FTC regulations are specifically for people who are not in like the position of being viewed as like the media.
As journalists.
Yeah. So it's really kind of built for the kind of bedroom streamer, or even the professional
It was a
streamer now.
response to mom blogs originally, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, the mommy blogger explosion and the way that those people were taken advantage of by companies and stuff like that. It was the reaction to that. So legally, we were kind of told at the time on our end that as the media, none of that applied to us. So the idea of like, it didn't change a thing for what we do, because people expect that the media would have access.
I think you and I had that conversation, didn't we?
Probably.
Because it was back then.
I guess it was, yeah. I think it was back then, but also it was right around the time we were coming here.
It was the end of the year before the sale happened.
Right.
We avoided that at Screen by not getting any access at all.
Yeah, we
That's
didn't
the
get
way
any.
to go.
We bought everything it tested. It turned out, so nobody had, I was like, this conversation doesn't really apply.
Yeah. Whereas we get games in the mail frequently. We get codes for stuff and all that sort of stuff. But
if we
that's
don't,
not what they're talking about with this sort of thing.
They're talking about paying a YouTube streamer X number of dollars in terms of
Right.
in the guise of production costs or whatever
yeah.
to make a series of videos about their game.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, I wonder what the kind of expectation will be around these things.
Yeah.
GameSpot does this stuff a fair amount, and they just say sponsored by whoever makes the Call of Duty
Yeah,
stuff.
so they're
It's
doing
explicitly
they're
like,
doing the due diligence of
The
themselves
sponsored content stuff.
of
Yeah,
saying, hey, we've been paid to do this for a
yeah,
company.
like labeling custom content and stuff like that. Like, hey, brought to you in part by company that we're talking about here. That stuff needs to be explicit.
But a lot of
Yeah,
times
it
on
absolutely
YouTube, that
does.
stuff has been like hidden below the fold. You got to
Right.
expand all
Yeah.
the notes on the thing and look for the third line from the top, which is all the same color and everything like that. So
Yeah, so if I am not mistaken, I think they want these watermarks to go in the video.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because that's the only
which
place
is where it
people
should
look
be.
at
Yeah,
stuff.
that's what I'm saying. Because that avoids the problem you're talking about of
Yeah.
having it
Yeah.
buried down below.
And then do the guidelines say anything about how those things are used? Is it at the top of the video? Is it a watermark used throughout? Or
My guess is
anything
it
like
has to be
that?
at the top of the
Yeah, I would
video.
assume it would have to just be at the top.
I haven't seen.
I'm really
that.
curious about how that's going to affect people's like and dislike ratings, or just like if every comment is going to be the word shill over and over again. Because I have a feeling a lot of people are really enthusiastic about games, and there are people out there on YouTube who only do videos about games they really like, and if they all of a sudden start getting responsive stuff, have you?
But I think that there are no shortage of people that will call you a shill, even in a situation where you're certainly not taking any money.
Sure.
So I think that I honestly like the disclosure aspect of it. I think is fine. I think it makes a lot of sense, and it's smarter to kind of to be explicit about this stuff. But in terms of will the audience care? Maybe a percentage of them certainly will. But
just putting the information out there is a good positive step.
Yeah.
For making this stuff
More
clear.
transparency
more
is
transparency
good.
and clarity. Absolutely.
and transparency that's visible. Actually, this is
How can transparency be visible? Will
Well, I've seen there's definitely
about it.
I'm trying to think. I know it happened on Vine a lot, and maybe on Instagram, where a lot of people would just do a hashtag SP for sponsored and stuff like
Yeah.
that, very obscure
hashtag
stuff.
ad. Yeah.
Well, even ad, at least ad is
a
a word
word,
that
yeah.
you can interpret. But if it was something like SP, you could easily gloss over that
smelly
without,
post.
without knowing what
Yeah.
that means, and
Blame
not
those
and
Kardashians.
not get the information.
I mean, this is how the ESRB ended up coming about too, is because the industry realized that they were going to get a rating system imposed on them.
Yeah, so they created one themselves.
They created
by the
themselves.
government. Yeah,
and having that universal in the beginning, those logos that are the rating logos, nobody knew what the fuck they meant.
Right.
And now, 15 years later, everybody does. So there's an argument for this being an industry-wide thing and not just EA.
I think it's probably smart. And this is not too far from how that happened too, because Sega rated their games first independently, and then eventually replaced those with the ESRB logos when it became an industry-wide thing.
Yeah.
Rated totally awesome.
Yeah. Rated K to A, kids to adults.
Peggy 18.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
They should do this.
Yeah, it's a good step.
And I will
They probably have to.
If they don't, something worse will get imposed on them.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Well, sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
At this point, who knows?
Yes. Fair enough.
But it's a net positive for everybody but the people who have to make the disclaimer probably. I'm sure a lot of people who do this stuff would prefer not to say anything. Here's my really enthusiastic video about Stardew Valley.
But here's the thing:
but good for consumers, good for people watching.
It's good for people to disclose because it'll force the people that are not disclosing and being shady about it now to actually make stuff that's compelling with their sponsored stuff rather than just making a shill video.
Yeah,
which is.
The problem is that there are people who have had the Shadows of Mordor thing where there was, people, the initial reaction was like, holy shit, you guys lied to us. You just made this video and you didn't tell us. And then it all faded away within a week. It's YouTube. People were just, as long as you subscribe.
Yeah.
Most people miss this news anyway. So
I think there are a lot of weird loopholes around that stuff too, where you've got someone did a brand deal to promote this app or service or whatever. That and then backing that out to I guess that's why they were talking super positively about this thing 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And so the disclosure happens way late, and you're like, well,
Sure.
I don't think I can trust any of this person's posts on social media because they're out there talking about, look at this fun thing I'm doing. Now then 2 weeks later, it's look at this fun thing I'm doing with this company for money. That's the stuff that's just weird loopholes like that that I think need to be closed up and addressed, and or just everyone involved just needs to be smarter about it. Honestly, it's or just double down on being super shady and gross. I don't know. Sure. It's a really weird middle ground right now.
It is. And YouTube people have a lot of power over what is talked about in relation to their videos in the comments. They can delete anything that's negative if they want to. And I don't know what the ethical, obviously it's unethical to say, hey, have you been paid for this, and just delete it rather than answer the question. But I don't know. It's a lot of weird questions it's all very much fluid and in motion. And I kudos to EA to go ahead and do this kind of thing. But I'd be really curious if Activision and Sony and everybody else go
There's
follow.
some weird stuff that happened. I mean, speaking of it, it's a little separate, but not entirely out of this realm. So after our Titanfall 2, you may have seen this. After our Titanfall 2 review ran,
Sure.
I saw dozens of tweets from people who
Yes,
worked
I
at
did
EA,
see this.
or I presumably worked at EA, because they all had hey, are you ready for the Titanfall 2 launch?
My mind is made up.
Look at this review, and then it was hashtag We Are EA.
Gross.
And it looks like they're using the share button on our site to.
Well, are they? Because I
don't know.
With that hashtag in there, I almost assumed that everyone at EA just got an email saying, "Hey, if you could tweet this," or if they've got some kind of social thing where if you want to partake in this, you can. Because it wasn't like thousands of people. It was
it's a good few dozens. Yeah.
I mean, they could have sent a newsletter out even for
exactly,
that.
Yeah. And maybe they put a button in the newsletter, or maybe, but it was a really strange thing of people going, "Are you ready for the Titanfall 2 launch? Hashtag We Are EA, link to our review."
Yeah.
And it was I mean, whatever, link to our review all you want. I don't really care. But it was just one of those things where it's is anyone clicking on that?
I definitely haven't seen that for any other review of our, even other 5-star reviews. That's the first time I've seen that. And I was noticing it all. I didn't really dig through to any profiles or anything like that, but that's.
I clicked through to a few, and it looked like, it's some QA analyst at EA or someone, it was people in all different parts of the company. Yeah. It wasn't like the Titanfall team.
It's probably in all hands.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
I assume
Giant Bomb loves Titanfall. Send him some love. Yeah. We are EA.
I don't know. It was just, it did not result in higher than normal traffic to our review. So
I mean, they do like that review. That's been in the new trailer they put out. it's definitely giant bomb 5 stars around
Oh,
the central
right, yeah.
placement. So
They did get in touch not long after that review ran to get quote approval and stuff like that, which is entirely standard.
Yeah.
I think all of us here like genuinely dug the game way more than I thought it would. So.
Yeah.
But that is weird when that kind of stuff happens and people are making conspiracy theories behind the scenes. So I can't tell them not to tweet it, I guess. But
Oh well, yeah, I don't know that anyone looked at that and thought that like anything ill of us in it. It was just a strange strategy or whatever. Like I look at it and go like, well, what are they hoping to get?
We
out
can make
of
a trend.
This I don't know.
What's the weirdest quote request you've ever gotten on that?
For me, it's always quotes from previews that are always really chopped down. Stuff that like is totally missing the meaning of what we're saying.
This ... is awesome.
that 100% definitely happened in like last few years where somebody, I think at IGN, had a quote, or it might have happened back in the day at GameSpot too, but I remember very specifically that something came out of a preview, not from us, I don't think. But
Yeah, I turned down some stuff relatively recently from a preview video we ran.
Anything funny?
No, nothing super funny. It was more just like, oh, this is preview coverage, and the context in which you're trying to make it appear is not our intent at all. So if it was all in writing and someone could look at it and see that context easily, I might. Nah, I probably wouldn't have even let it go then because it wasn't like they were taking it totally out of context and taking it to mean way more positive things.
Yeah, we make enough sarcastic comments in these things. You really have to.
Also, that too.
You have to take in the tone.
Yeah.
You
put the little shrug
Right, yeah.
emoji at the end.
Yeah, that's our new review scales.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Back to the pictures.
There you go. Somebody's hanging out outside the door.
That's fine.
This morning, right before we came in here, Vice Waypoint ran a story about Sleeping Dogs 2.
Sleepy Dogs?
Sleepy Dogs.
Second. This is the one that they was going to strip it all down.
Look who's sleeping too.
No, not Triad Wars.
That came out, or that went into beta and then got shut
this
down.
was the game they wanted to make that they did not make.
Yeah, so United Front Games has been shut down. Like that studio no longer exists.
That's the studio that made Stronghold or the John Woo game. Is that Stronghold?
No, that was Midway.
Midway
Made that. No, they made
Sleeping Dogs 1.
I'm trying to think.
They
what
made
else.
Little Big Planet Cars.
Yeah, they made Mod Nation Racers.
Yeah, Mod Nation Racers is them.
That game that Jason showed on UPF.
Oh yeah,
Smash
and Grab.
Yeah, which was like in early access, right?
Wow.
And then
Yeah.
it was
Yes,
no longer for
the
sale.
weekend
They
before
did
it came out.
They did a free weekend, and then the studio shut down.
And you can still buy stuff in game, right, or something like that.
You could still buy the game, but it was server based.
sucks.
Or I guess actually you couldn't buy the game anymore. But it was, hey, here's this early access game that you bought into with the idea of it being continued to be in development, and now like.
But as long as they weren't accepting purchases like 5 days before they shut down, that would be pretty.
They definitely were.
Okay, awesome.
Oh yeah.
Probably the people who were in charge of accepting purchases didn't realize they were 5 days from being shut down.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah. Anyway, Vice has they've gotten a hold of a whole bunch of design docs and other material, pre-production stuff on Sleeping Dogs 2.
The game was good.
Yeah, Sleeping Dogs is
Sleeping Dogs 1?
is
Actually,
is
real
a beloved like cult classic, I would say.
Big disappointment for me.
Oh yeah.
I really didn't like it very much at all.
I never
They
had
wasted
the,
Emma Stone's sounds. Can we all agree on that at least?
Well,
One
yeah,
date
I
and then she disappears.
Everyone does.
I mean, yeah, since
Everyone
what
wasted
was the last great Emma Stone showpiece?
God,
Video
she's in a
games.
new LA story movie that they're sing and dance. She's fantastic. She's beloved in America. She did a great interview the other day. She's on the cover of Elle magazine, I think, right now.
Okay.
Man,
you really
Have you ever thought about doing a newsletter
She's
about this?
in
This is-
Never
this is-
Stop, Never Stoppin', pop star.
She's great
for a little
now.
bit. She's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
good. She's America's sweetheart.
Sure.
At least my sweetheart.
No word on whether Emma Stone was going to be in Sleeping Dogs 2, but I won't go into it's a huge story, and you can go look at a bunch of the documents. But
Like leaked documents that were
Yeah, that's
not
supposed to go
leaked.
in.
Well, yeah, leaked by somebody that.
Is
used
this
to
game
work there.
canceled too?
Yes,
Like,
this
Yeah,
game,
the studio is
this
gone.
game will never
so,
come out.
Yeah.
But it's like a very thorough look at what they wanted to do with it. It sounds like it never even really went into actual production.
Sure.
But
I'll just say
it's
that.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I'll just say the Sleeping Dogs had very bad driving. That's what really turned me off about it.
I mean, it's an open world game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not always big on.
They can't all be Arkham Knight.
Just the
That came out this year, right? Too.
yeah. No, that was last year.
Oh, really?
I think it was
That was definitely last year.
really.
Oh, yeah, it was. Right.
Didn't come up in Game of the Year. I don't know.
No, it was the VR game came out this year. It was like there was a Batman game like that.
and
thing.
that remaster.
Right.
Of the,
I think it came up in
overrun
Game
stuff.
of the Year.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Yes, it did.
That Batman game definitely
Yes,
came up in
that
game.
game was definitely discussed last year. Anyway, this game would have picked up after Sleeping Dogs 1. You're still playing Wei Shen, but they were going to make it a 2-protagonist game. So you would have him, and then the
Emma
second,
Stone?
Emma Stone.
Yes, Emma Stone was the second character. Looks like Henry Fong is the name of the second character, who was a conflicted, corrupt partner, is how they describe him.
I hate it when they cast, Caucasian actors in Asian roles, but I mean, I'll take Emma Stone whatever she plays.
Sure. Yeah, so it sounds like, like Wei Shen was an undercover cop who was secretly on the level,
Yeah.
and this guy's kind of the reverse of he is just a straight up detective, but the kind of guy that they mentioned would break into somebody's house and plant evidence and stuff like that.
So,
And
yeah.
so that
Trevor
was
the cop.
Departed and also Infernal Affairs.
I'm sure there was
Yeah.
some inspiration there, yeah. But the interesting part is that it sounds like you would have played both of them. Like, you wouldn't pick one and then play through the game. It would be like there would
GTA 5 stuff.
branching,
shifts,
well, maybe not that flexible, but it sounds like there would be branching points in the story where you would pick which one to play through a given mission as, and then only see their side of their involvement in that mission. And actually, they make it sound like they didn't want you to know what the other character was doing because they kind of use that as a way to create some drama.
That
Dead
sounds
Space
fun.
3.
Yeah, it sounded like a neat idea. They had a mobile app planned with a third playable character that would affect a meta game that affected everybody's game
That'd be
in
Amazon.
terms of prices.
Love that
yes.
second screen.
Yes. Second screen experience.
Yeah, I
It's-
was going to say, you can tell the era of this
Yes.
pitch
Yeah.
by that phrase
Yeah,
right there.
The story points out that in the design documents, the consoles are referred to as Orbis and Durango.
Wow.
So it's from that era.
Tell me
and-
about the smart glass.
Right, that's the thing. There are a bunch of references to a bunch of cloud stuff because that's when Microsoft was talking about the cloud a whole lot.
I love the cloud.
We could offload our AI into Azure,
Yeah.
Microsoft's compute cloud.
Why not?
Back then, everybody loved the cloud.
Get your Drivatar.
Yeah. My Drivatar
Sleepy
is
dogs too.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a whole bunch more info in the story on Vice if you want to go read about it. But yeah, it's kind of it's bittersweet, I'm sure, for a lot of people.
Someone sent me a video from Unseen 64 that was Day One Studios' Tron pitch.
Huh?
Like, they lost out to propaganda, and
Okay.
then that Tron Evolution game happened, but it was
Yeah.
just footage from their prototype and stuff like
Huh.
that. It looked cool. And it looked like a prototype. Kind of hard to say, but it's kind of interesting to remember that there were multiple studios bidding on that thing.
Sure.
Speaking of crime dramas, I just watched Eastern Promises this weekend.
Very good. Very good.
Man, that's a good movie.
It's, you want to see some dong?
Just want to tell you guys about it.
Yeah.
No, it's really good. I
pretty
saw
good.
that a long time ago.
Who's in that?
It's Viggo Mortensen and Naomi Watts, and
Okay.
it was directed by Cronenberg, I want to say, right?
Yeah, Cronenberg.
Cronenberg's
Oh,
like an
really?
evolution.
Crime movie. Yeah, it's really good.
Is there any weird mutated body horror?
No, he went away from that
There's
a long
some
time
violence.
ago.
Okay.
History of Violence was the same
was
type
that
thing. But
Yeah, he also
Yes.
did.
I remember. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
He's,
seen that.
he's
Viggo, too.
evolved into like one of our just an amazing. He was always an amazing director, but he had that thing where he only did body horror and
Yeah.
then like Videodrome and the Fly and everything like that.
Existence
to
and
come back
stuff,
in.
yeah.
Even
Yeah, that's a hell of a movie worth watching. I also have I have the comic book that A History of Violence was based on, which ends very much differently. But Eastern Promises, I think they're making a new one of those.
They
at
were
some point.
going to. I think it got canceled.
I've heard recently they've been talking about bringing it back.
Okay, that'd be cool.
Viggo Mortensen, that movie's great.
Yeah. While we're talking movie talk, I watched Firefox.
Oh,
over the
yeah?
weekend. I had not seen it in a long time.
the
helicopter
Clint
movie?
Eastwood movie where he steals the crazy experimental MiG that you have to fly with your thoughts.
Yeah.
right.
Or it's like the weapon systems work with your brain, but you have to think in Russian. So he goes behind enemy lines and he sneaks into this test facility and steals this MiG from the Russians and has to fly back. But there's a second one.
It's the story
He has to
of
fight the other one.
Yeah.
It's the story of Chuck Yeager and the MiG-15, right? Like somebody defected and brought a MiG-15 to Western Europe, and then they sent Chuck Yeager, who just got in it without knowing how to fly it, and went up and figured it out.
Sort of, kind of.
Yeah, okay.
Except it's like instead of someone smuggling the plane out halfway, he has to go all the way
break
in
in.
and to the test facility and get it. It's parts of it are real bad.
Was that
but
And you can open up multiple tabs.
right, yeah, which is nice.
That
But-
Don't Stop Never Stoppin' was shockingly good.
It's not bad. I've
Yeah.
only seen I got to the part where Emma Stone was in it for like 30 seconds, and I kind of stopped because I figured it'll be downhill.
You
after
got
that.
what you
Got-
needed.
got
out of
it.
it. Yeah.
What was that drone movie with Bradley Cooper and Jessica
Oh,
Biel and like
fuck.
Jamie Foxx?
Yeah.
It was one of the worst reviewed
Stealth?
movies ever. Stealth. It was Stealth, I want to say.
Stealth.
Yeah. Ooh.
It was.
Man.
It was.
You guys did. You did a video about that and screened,
I don't
right?
know.
would've
Maybe
been before.
maybe Alex did. I just remember the reviews being university, and they're all like big stars now. I think it was Jamie Foxx.
Yeah,
I think Bradley Cooper is like right as his career was kind of going ascendant,
Really?
and now he's
Bradley
in Limitless on CBS, America's Most Watched Network.
No,
Bradley
it's not
Cooper?
Bradley Cooper in Limitless.
No, he was only in one episode.
He was in the movie.
premiere.
He was
Yeah.
he. I think
Oh,
he.
he's
I
a
think
producer.
He did like a cameo in the first episode.
Oh, he handed the
Also,
pills
that show
off.
that show got canceled. So
Well,
Oh,
not anymore.
CBS.
Still America's Most Watched.
anyway,
That Big Brother All Access, though, man.
Yeah, totally.
They say all sorts of words on that.
do they not bleep the?
They do not bleep
wow.
anything.
This is web only. They cut it down for TV, and that's
Yeah,
where
yeah,
they take out all the dollars.
Do you guys have you guys get free access to the app? Is that like a CBS perk?
No, we don't
get
get
a-
even
I
free
think
access to all access.
we get a
I think
we get a discount.
a minor discount on it or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in turn, we don't give any of them discounts on Giant Bomb memberships. So, yeah.
Right on.
If any of the people from the Big Brother house want
Hold the line.
a membership,
They're gonna have to pay for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the line forms to the left, motherfucker.
There you go.
All right, let's whip through a couple more minor headlines. This one is stale. It was actually I meant to include it on last week's show and totally forgot amid all of the Nintendo Switch rumors. But they put out a little announcement about Super Mario Run. That's coming out on December 15th
Oh yeah, right.
for $10.
$10.
Well, free to download,
Free to start.
free to start.
I wonder if that bunny's going to be in there.
Oh man,
Free
he's
to
gonna
run.
shake you down for $10. If I
Fucking-
run really well, will he only charge me $8?
Really? You can get discounts from the bunny if you're good at games?
There are ways in which to get discounts or something
so
from the
good.
bunny. Yeah,
That's
There's
so
The
good.
better you play, the less you pay.
something like that. I forget what it
Tell
was.
5 of your
exactly,
Facebook
but-
friends about
Something
Mario.
Right,
Run.
yeah.
Also that. The Nintendo's wording is that you can quote try elements of the game's 3 modes
Yeah,
for free.
I'm super excited about that.
And then you can pay $10 to unlock everything else. So
I want to see it, but
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know that I'd have very high hopes for it. Like
You
it's,
can
it's a
sign up on the
runner
App
and-
Store to get notified.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which
I
I
did
which I
that.
did. Yeah.
it looks well made, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
a runner.
It's a runner, but not. Yeah, it looks like a little more elaborate.
It's
than
like a
that.
level-based runner
Yeah.
with more to it, but yeah.
So my kid is old enough now that we started playing games.
Mm-hmm.
And we started with runners. Mario was too complex for her because she wanted to use the stick instead of the D-pad
Yeah.
and that's, I mean, we're not going to have that in my house.
Nope.
But we started like Alto's Adventure and some of the better iOS runners like Ski Safari and Alto's Adventure and stuff like that. And like that was a way for her to understand the timing of jumps and all that. And it was really cool to watch her figure that out. Now, like Altos is a nice thing to play when you want to sit and watch TV and not have to think about anything, but it's not super, super compelling for the long term. And I trust Nintendo to do something with that genre that's more engaging than your typical like go right and jump.
especially for $10.
Yeah, $10 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Nah,
I'm glad it's not free to. I mean, so you're saying you could buy for $10 and
Yeah,
just get
that's it.
everything?
That's it.
Awesome.
That is their approach.
I regret not bringing up this game before when we were talking about what we're playing because I just experienced one of the worst fuck you free to play experiences. It's a game called Celsius Heroes, and it's a match 3 kind of thing. You go through dungeons, but you're also going through this overland map, and you only have so many action points to get from place to place. So I go to talk to the guy who has a pass that I need to get through the other tunnel thing. So I go to him. Oh, I've helped the other town. Great. All right, come back tomorrow and you can talk to the dude. And I keep on trying to log in the next couple of days. Like, oh, you're too early. You're too late. I have to come back tomorrow within like a 2-hour window when I actually had done the quest in real time. So I'm just sitting there for like 3 days going through and like trying to talk to the dude. Oh, you're too early. Come back later. Talk to the count. I finally get the dude to sign or give me a pass. I go all the way to the other thing, which takes a whole fucking like hour and a half of movement points. Oh, this pass doesn't have a seal on it. You have to go back and talk to the other dude again. So I go back.
you should not play this game. This is a bad game.
I get the seal with a seal on it, but I have to like threaten to leave a bad review for the game. It's like fourth wall humor. And then I go to the back up to there, and now they're saying I can't go through. You have to go take a ship, which is all the other way. And that dude, I go to take a ship. That dude tells me I have to go back to the first 2 cities and make more friends there before I can actually.
Are you sure it wasn't a sea lion and not a seal?
Celsius Heroes. Fuck that game. That's my story.
All right.
Sorry. I wish I brought that up
And
earlier.
could you have sidestepped all of that stuff by spending money?
If I could have sidestepped all of the, because you lose action points as you move, and I
Yeah.
could have bought a refill on my action points at the time and gone through it in like
Okay.
probably, I don't know, half an hour
Fun.
or very, very quick amount of time, but I would have
Yeah.
spent like $30. And it was super frustrating because I actually really like the mechanics of the game, but now I'm going to leave that. That's a 1-star rating.
Yeah.
I've almost finished Adventure Capitalist.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I gave up.
Which version you playing?
iOS.
Okay.
I've gotten all of Mars, all of the
Mars is
Moon.
the easy one.
Mars I
Yeah.
finished in like August.
Yeah.
But I just log in once a day. I hit all the buttons and I turn it off and I log in the next.
That's probably the way to go. I burned out on it doing your PS4 like time and date.
Yeah.
Offline.
So that's a losing. That's a
reset
losing
check.
game.
Like it got very tedious.
Yeah.
And then I stopped.
I still play Tap Tycoon. Play is a weird way to put it, I guess.
Play,
but,
yeah,
but I still
Run.
I still run the executable for Tap Tycoon and do that stuff. I think that's a pretty good one of those.
Did you ever look at Adventure Communist?
Yeah, I don't like it at all.
It's way too many.
Yeah,
way too many counters.
They are going in the exact wrong direction with that
Yeah.
thing. They've made it.
It's unjust.
It should not leave early access until they have stripped out 100% of that game and replaced it with a different game.
Yeah. Okay. That was my feeling too. But
yeah,
I wanted to make sure I wasn't just being an asshole.
Woof. And then Egg
Communist, man.
Incorporated. I still have that running. And Doomsday Clicker. I launched that recently.
Doomsday
They've
Clickers.
added a bunch of stuff to that.
Yeah, I got
that
a
was
notification
okay.
from that
It's
recently.
like if your friends are playing, you can connect and get gold. And, like they added a bunch of stuff to it that complicated it in a way that like, oh, well, this is more of a thing now. But
I'd looped around on Tap My Katamari a few times just because I like having the music on in the background.
yeah.
And then I got a new phone and it wiped my save, and I'm never gonna go
fuck
back to that game.
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I played that for a little while and then realized I don't like having the speaker on my phone on ever. And then that's like 90% of what makes Tap My Katamari worth looking at all is the music. So I
And
uninstalled it.
headphones.
Nah,
I use headphones a lot.
yeah, I'm not a headphones guy.
Hmm.
I bought a 7. We're beyond headphones.
Yeah, you can't plug it in
Yeah,
anymore.
exactly.
Jeff, you're wearing headphones.
Those aren't-
Fuck these headphones. I hate these headphones.
Other people have to use them.
It's true. Be
Wait,
nice. Be nice
I didn't wipe them down
be
before.
nice to the
Who had
headphones.
these? Aren't Dan's headphones, are they?
No, he doesn't typically sit there.
Okay, that's good. I
Yeah.
don't want to get the fungus or whatever he's
Yeah,
got
yeah.
there for the last month and a half.
You're fine. The last two stories are so thin that I'm going to say them both at the same time.
Right.
Nintendo registered a trademark for Wave Race in Europe.
Woo!
Wave race.
So probably stay tuned for a,
Virtual console version of Wave Race.
well, maybe.
Good.
Or maybe a new Wave Race on
Yeah.
the Switch.
Okay.
Wave Race 64 is good. I don't care what you guys say.
Yeah, those
It's
games
a
are
fucking
those
great
games
yeah,
game.
are
no,
great.
Wave Race is good.
Yeah, those are cool games. And then Persona 5 got delayed again.
Yeah, oh, right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So now Valentine's Day is going to be very sad.
Did you guys talk about the wireless VR Vive thing that came out in China 2 weeks ago?
Not really. It looks cool.
Very
but,
skeptical
yeah,
about that.
The hour and a half battery life seems like not too far off.
I'm
Like,
okay.
that
Like
seems
that's fine
okay.
for me. Yeah.
Does it just free you from all the tether?
No cables.
No cables?
So it's a
Huh.
little battery pack that sits up here, or you can get a bigger one that you can put in your pocket,
Yeah.
and it basically gives you a wireless Vive.
Huh.
The thing that I've always been told on that wireless stuff is that the only reason it didn't exist is that all of the wireless stuff was for like blasting from a projector to a TV, so latency
Right.
didn't matter.
Yeah.
And nobody ever spent the time to optimize for it.
Yeah.
And now that there's a reason to have
Like
low
we're getting
latency,
there. Yeah.
those guys are saying it's like two millisecond,
It seems that
which
seems
is
fine.
reasonable.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, I really want to try that because that's and I really want to know the range of it because I want to set up a Vive at home. But now, like the way I'm thinking about it is like, well, I need to set this up in the living room, but also my PC needs to live here in the office. So it becomes a matter of like seeing the people that have done the research on good long USB 3 cables and that sort of stuff.
My bet is you need line of sight from the transmitter.
Right. If it's line of sight, then the whole thing's fucked. Or I guess
Or
I
you
could
can
run
run
a
an
long cable to
HDMI
the transmitter,
yeah,
and
exactly.
maybe that still works.
Yeah.
But
you need to knock a hole in the wall, Jeff. That's the only way to be sure.
I'd have to do the thing as I'm talking about. I have to knock about 3 holes in 3 walls to get from there to there. But
These are the sacrifices we make.
nah.
You want a holodeck in your living room.
Instead, I'll just set up an Oculus Touch and like not do room scale, and then
Yeah.
do my room scale stuff here,
yeah.
and just do
That works too.
standing stuff.
That works.
Which works for most.
Be really useful in the studio.
Yeah.
Assuming-
Well, assuming we can get video out of it.
That could be tricky.
you should be able to get.
Oh.
Maybe it has a separate output on it, or
No,
some kind of
because
pass-through.
Oh,
you're
'cause
gonna
it'll
get
still go
you're
to
gonna
the
get the
PC.
screen.
It'll
You
still
still
go-
have the screen.
screen's
to
still
go
go
to
to
the
the
PC.
PC. Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know if anyone has shipped any of those yet? Because I know they took pre-orders, and it seems like it's not quite out
They,
yet,
they
right?
took pre-orders that were only in Asia,
Yeah.
and like I went to the Vive site the Chinese Vive site and was trying to get Google Translate to work at the time they were
Chinese Vive.
Yeah.
This is an official Vive product?
It is part of the it's
Vive
a company that came out of
incubator.
the Vive incubator in Shanghai. So it's like affiliated with but not by.
That seems very much like a wait and see how people react to it type thing.
I will happily spend $200 to experiment with that, but I would
you
not
have
encourage
a
anybody
business,
else
you have
to.
a business reason to do that.
Like not having wires when we're recording would be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So
Word.
Yeah, Drew understands.
fuck wires, right?
Yeah, the number of times
sometimes
I've
they're okay.
stepped over our wire, like trying to not trip while I'm trying to shoot someone or shoot someone
I
or shoot
stepped over.
someone.
I yanked the cable out yesterday. I was doing demos for a really important potential partner.
Nice.
That was great.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, it went dark. What happened?
Just
It's
make
fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Just I'm gonna plug it back in. It'll be really horrible for like the next
Close
5
your
minutes.
eyes.
Yeah.
wires are fine as long as they have B and C connectors on everything.
Yeah.
Then
Those are
everything's
good,
fine.
sturdy industrial connectors.
Yes.
Anything less,
You
not
could
so much.
you could hang from like the ceiling on a wire.
Can we test that?
Ooh.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I bet the cable would give at the
I've had the
connector
stump
way
come out. Yeah.
before the actual connector would come loose.
Yeah, you're probably right.
So you would just end up with the metal connector sticking in the port with no cable attached to it.
Yeah.
Why you got to kill my dreams?
I'm sorry.
Still time.
Heavier gauge cable.
There you go.
True. Yeah.
Crimp harder.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Never stop
No.
crimping.
I'm
Get Joey Familian here.
yeah. My
Joey Familia is the
crimp hand is strong.
Crimp master.
That's all right. Well,
What do you?
now we
what?
have to move on. Nope. That's it.
Crimping ain't easy.
Nope. Stop. No, that's too easy.
Yeah,
That's
it
that's
is. You're right.
that's just
crimps up.
that's just
Uh-huh.
Crimps up.
Go on, finish it.
I got.
What do you
no,
got?
Stop.
What do you got?
Stop.
I got nothing.
Stop. Let's move on to our last break,
Oh.
and then we'll be right back with some emails.
When you're building a website, sometimes the thing you need is a simple, intuitive process.
Yeah, you don't want that to be complicated.
Exactly.
You got stuff to do. You got places to be.
Exactly.
You got truth to tell.
You've got ideas in your head that need to get out immediately, and you don't need to spend a lot of time on design and putting it up and all that other stuff. That's where Squarespace comes in.
Oh, great.
Squarespace has tools to make that stuff easy. You can add and arrange your content and features with the click of a mouse.
What kind of tools are we talking? Like
Beautiful templates
okay.
for setting up things like landing pages, galleries, professional blogs.
They got any pulleys?
Think of the whole thing as one big internet pulley.
Like a lever?
Yeah. Levers, simple machines that
Okay.
you are using via simple virtual machines.
They got like the internet ads in there that I can.
Maybe, potentially, yeah. You
always wanted to use an ads.
Well, yeah, you can get that in there and set up a website or a best-in-class online store. Why not? These templates have won awards. They're customizable, and you don't need plugins or anything like that.
That sounds easy.
Yeah, seamless commerce tools. From nationally recognized brands to your favorite local shops, Squarespace is trusted by hundreds of thousands of savvy shop owners.
That's a lot of shops.
That's a lot of shops. But if you're not selling anything, you can still set up just a straight-up website.
Yeah, just a blog.
Yeah, and if you run into any issues, they've got 24/7 customer support. You can chat with them anytime around the clock and figure it out.
Great. I like talking to smart people.
Yeah. You can start your free trial today at squarespace.com and enter the offer code BOMBCAST to get 10% off your first purchase.
That's cool.
How about that?
Yeah, that's good.
Squarespace, set your website apart.
All right, it's time to do the emails. Bombcast@giantbomb.com. That's where you send them.
Emails.
Emails.
Emails?
How do you feel about emails?
I
go either way.
can't fucking get into my email. Over
Yeah,
here.
email kind of sucks.
I spent these breaks like re-entering my password over and over again, and
Yeah.
maybe they're trying to tell me something.
Email's dead format, man.
Did I get fired?
Ooh.
Again?
Oh boy. All right, let's not get into that.
My email worked for way too long last time.
Whoa. Yikes.
Oh. Friendly IT guy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. First email comes in from Dan in Buffalo. I assume New York. He doesn't say.
The Windy City.
He's on a buffalo.
Oh, okay. The last one.
Yeah.
Buffalo Dan.
He's riding the last buffalo
He's traveling cross country with his buffalo.
across
Buffalo
the plains.
Dan's wild show.
Buffalo and bison are the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Sure. A member of the game's press just called out the Game Awards for refusing to consider his nomination of Nitro Plus Blasters Heroines Infinite Duel for the fighting game category, even though that category has a blank nomination spot. Where do the ranking of fighters judges stand on this controversy?
I wrote into the people running the Game Awards and asked them about my nomination of Nitro Plus Blasters Heroines Infinite Duel and did not get a response.
Okay,
so I have investigated this story and have received nothing.
All right.
Being stonewalled.
A representative for the Game Awards declined to comment.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think that game definitely came out this year in North America.
Yeah.
I don't know what the situation is. You would have to ask the Game Awards, which I tried to do and did not get a response.
Seemed to be well received, right?
It's some might call it the best fighting game to be released in 2016.
Like
so
legitimately.
yeah,
Like not just because it has like bikini ladies in it.
no, yeah. In fact, that works against it just as much as anything.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't have a good answer to that
weird,
question.
That's a weird snub. It's not like there are that many fighting games this year to populate a fighting game category.
I don't know if it needed a certain number of nominations to clear some kind of gap to be considered.
There could be some rule
but
like that.
I don't know what the ruling is.
Yeah.
As I said, I wrote in and asked and did not hear back.
Yeah. Well, that's a bummer. But we don't have an answer for you. Let's see here. Yasser writes in from Toronto. I was listening to you guys talk about Planet Coaster when Jeff mentioned that he was adamantly against the Fast Pass / Jump the Line system and never mentioned why. My wife and I live in Canada and love going to Canada's Wonderland. At one point, it was owned by Paramount, and the rides had movie names. After it was sold, the new names were turned into generic names,
Great
such
America.
as Top Gear into Air Deck. Anyway, when we go, we pay $50 per ticket, with the Fast Pass option being about $40 and only works on some of the rides. We get it every year because even though it means paying almost double for the ticket, we only go once a year, so it's worth it to wait 5 minutes for a ride that would normally take 3 hours.
Oh, you think you're better than everybody else? Like, what the fuck? Like, you're missing the entire point of the argument. Like, oh, well, fancy you then, I guess. Have a good time with that.
Yeah.
I have to be careful, but I have a friend who went to a major park recently and got the celebrity VIP treatment, who is not an actual celebrity.
Right.
And when he or she went to the front of the lines with their escort person, they just literally went straight from walked past all the people in the ride in the queue, and got straight on at the front of the line. Like,
that's gross.
This is America, man.
And this person,
if you have the cash, you skip the line.
Fucking seriously. Like that was not a person that was a recognizable celebrity.
Part of the reason that, as I understand, the reason that exists is so that if say Will Smith, not me, but the famous
other
guy,
one.
wants to go to
How about
Disney
Tom
World.
Cruise?
Yeah, Tom Cruise wants to go to Disney World. Yeah, Tom Cruise he works on First Street. He's at the Merrill Lynch over there.
Yeah.
If he wants to go to Disneyland, then his being in the line will be an enormous disruption to the point that it's like dangerous for people.
Sure.
So that's why that exists. But then you can buy into it apparently.
Yeah,
So,
that makes some amount of sense for people that would be causing a disruption by their mere presence.
Yeah.
It seems like that would be the sort of situation where it's like, hey, there are hours when this park is not open. We can have you just come in, and we'll have someone come around with you who knows how to work the rides.
Well, but or they just walk straight So when I worked with the MythBusters, like at Comic-Con or something, where there's a shitload of people around, they would walk out and walk on the floor. They just never stop. Like that's the secret of being a super famous dude is you when people say, hey, can I stop and take a picture? You say, I'm sorry, I'm on my way.
Yeah.
And you just don't stop walking, so there's no way for a scrum to form around you.
Yeah,
it's when the scrum forms that things get bad.
That is that happens at PAX.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but the Fast Pass is a different thing.
Yeah.
The Fast Pass, you just tag your thing and you say, okay, you're reserving your place in line. You can only do one at a time. And you're going to come back at a specific time and then just not wait in the line. You can go do other stuff.
I think the idea of like, hey, I'm going to virtually wait in line and all that sort of stuff is probably okay. It is the part where it's like pay to get in a shorter version of the line, I think is really...
At least pretend to have a limp or like a broken... At least put a cast on for that. Like,
I'm kind of bummed out that they even offer that option. I haven't been to a theme park in like 20 years. I had no idea that was even a standard thing.
Yeah,
that sucks.
Just buy like one of those slings and at least like let people... Because otherwise I would hate those people walking in front of me. At least like give them like, oh, sorry, I can't stand on this. my arm.
Yeah, there you go.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
I would if I bought one of those, I would still feel like I would be obligated to make everybody else not think that I was an asshole. Even if I'm never going to see him again, I would.
I know. It would
You have a
almost like-
T-shirt on that says,
Yeah, it would almost feel like you would want to apologize to people as you walk by them or something. That's just that's no
No,
good.
you just don't make eye contact. It's like when you're in the front of the airplane. You don't look at the people going to the back of the airplane. You don't look at them. You don't look at. You're better than them.
I've always wondered
actually
about that because I've never flown first class, and I always always notice the first class passengers every time I get on are like very clearly not interested in the people getting on the
They
plane.
have their cocktail. They have their Wall Street Journal. You know.
I feel like I'm more and more getting the people that are very much looking at me in a fucking scornful way.
Well,
The first class people?
Yeah.
Oh, I always like inspect them to see if there's anybody famous.
That's my move.
Oh, I hadn't even thought
Yeah.
about that. I would always inspect them just to see what type of people fly first class. But,
I saw Joe Montana.
Wow.
At the airport at my
Okay.
little like the executive terminal that I fly out of.
That's
Which, by the way, if you have a lot of money, you should try flying your own plane, your own like Learjet.
I got
it's awesome. Apparently, I haven't been on one, but you just get to roll up to this weird little executive terminal and walk through doors onto an airstrip where there is a plane
if you fly a
waiting
private
for you.
plane, there's no
It seems like it's the best.
I
Also,
know a couple people who have gotten to do that, and it's like the '60s apparently, where you just like park at the
You
airport.
want to bring fluid on the plane?
Yeah.
Fuck, it's your plane. We don't fucking care.
You bring whatever you want and just walk on the tarmac and just get on the plane.
Are you bringing bricks of cocaine? That's fine too. Whatever.
I flew to Mexico in a corporate plane one time for my wife's job. My wife used to work at a company that had a corporate plane, and they used it to like shuttle shit back and forth, and so you could hop on one of the shuttle flights.
Yeah.
Bricks of cocaine and cash.
Uh-huh.
And like flying from Knoxville, Tennessee to Mexico to Cancun was like a 2-hour and 20-minute flight on the jet because you didn't have to stop anywhere.
Yeah.
I drove up to the executive terminal. I walked through the customs passport guy at the gate, looked at my passport, was like, yeah, you're good, go. And when I got there, we got like the Mexican immigration customs guy came on the plane. He looked at our passports. We walked through. We hit the stoplight button like you do when you go to Mexico, and that was it. Like that, like straight onto a car. The whole thing. It was like if people who like I would travel all the time if I could fly. Like it would be awesome. I would be like, let's go to Seattle for lunch. Fuck it.
Right. Yeah. Totally.
but it's like $10,000 an hour.
Look, to make an omelet, you got to break some eggs.
Yeah.
Or some poor people.
I'm making money to make money. Spending money to make money, Drew.
Joe did arrive in a cab,
Okay.
and apparently he always takes a cab to the airport, according to his pilots. So there's that now that you know about Joe Montana.
There you go.
starting his own video games.
Hot tips.
True.
Yeah.
Good video games.
At one time, like the football game, right? More or less.
Yeah.
Let's see. Carl writes in from London. We will have to parse the British currency a little bit to answer this question, but shouldn't be too hard. I'm thinking of buying myself a PS4 in the new year. Now that there are two models to choose from, I was wondering which one you would recommend. I initially liked the Slim, as it is relatively cheap, and being the base model means that all games have to run on it regardless. Looking at the Pro, yes, the games look better, and it's only an extra £100 for the additional power. However, I wonder, being this far into the console cycle, shouldn't I just wait a few more years for what Sony announces as the PlayStation 5 for a full upgrade of the PlayStation experience?
I wouldn't necessarily assume that this console cycle is going to end the way you think it will in terms of timing and all this other stuff.
In terms of thinking there'll be a PS5 in 3 years.
In a couple of years, I think that's... I think we're looking at PS4 for longer than that.
Really?
Or they're just it'll be incremental bumps to the PS4 architecture.
You don't think they'll ever take the opportunity to say, all right, we're making a clean break, here's the new one?
I think it depends on how the Pro sells, and I think it depends on how Microsoft stuff does.
So I pasted a story from Famitsu in that I decided to skip over because I figured sales figures were boring, but I can scroll back up to it. And it's just Japanese sales figures, which consoles.
This is telling you more about the Japanese console market.
That's the other reason. That's the other reason I skipped
decline.
it. Yeah, because consoles don't sell that well in Japan these days. But Famitsu reported that the PS4 Pro sold roughly 65,000 units for the first 4 days of being on sale in Japan.
That's not bad.
It's not. It doesn't sound terrible for 4 days, but
164 or 64?
65. 65 in 4 days.
How many?
We need another number to compare it
right,
to.
that's what I'm saying. It's not a super useful number because consoles just don't sell a lot in Japan these days. But It's a tough question to answer. Like this is more of an emotional response than a logical one, but like the emotional part of me is like, well, if you spend the extra money, then you'll know you're future proofed and you don't have to worry about feeling left behind when they decide that the PS4 is obsolete.
Or if the Pro doesn't move, then
that
maybe this goes the other way.
Right. That's assuming that they actually do that.
Right.
And as opposed to like there's 40 million PS4s out there.
Right.
Maybe they actually just keep focusing on that thing, and the Pro ends up being like kind of a waste.
Or you get some performance bump out of it, but maybe it's not what it could be if developers really cared and didn't have to worry about the base model. Like this is kind of what we were talking about, I think, in terms of just this thing being like kind of spooky, kind of scary in terms of how it does and what it means for support.
I will say, like, there have been kind of a crazy number of deals on the Pro since it came out.
It's been like
a lot of
$40 here and there. Though.
I saw somebody. Granted, a couple of these involve like you have to stack like 2 gift card or coupon code type things or something. But I think I saw somebody get the Pro down to like $320.
Wow,
the other day.
Yeah, that's a good price for a PS4.
Because the regular Slim is $299. Right. But then again, I also saw a bundle of a similar like deal you could engineer for like I think $200 for the Slim. So,
right.
It's tough to say.
I think it depends on if you care about if you own a 4K TV or you're likely to own one in the near future.
I think having a 4K TV is the only like surefire reason that you should get a Pro.
That PSVR version, the res change, but it's not worth replacing your. I mean, it's neat. It's really good.
I haven't played any VR games on a Pro,
but it wasn't.
Does it make a big difference?
Or
it's a difference, but not like a huge deal?
It is I thought it was a noticeable difference, but it wasn't like It wasn't spending $400 on this was a good idea.
Yeah, like PSVR, like that thing. Obviously, the screen is lower res than the PC headsets, but like I got used to it so fast, I found myself not really caring.
So it seemed like it improved draw distance and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure.
And
just
like it was oversampled, so your lines were less jaggy and stuff like that. Yeah. So it like that. But I also pay attention to that stuff. So
I think a lot of it is like how much do you care about that type of fidelity?
Yeah.
Are you a stickler for that type of fidelity because you will get more of it on a Pro? There's no easy answer. Like it has to come from within. It has to like so many factors, personal factors, I think, come into play.
Yeah.
But looking at like the architectures that they've chosen for these platforms and the extensibility of them, the only reason at some point in the future that they would break this compatibility cycle and move, instead of just going with faster incremental updates and more capabilities on the chips, is if ARM reaches a point where it makes more sense to buy put cheap ARM chips on these things than it does, which is basically what Nintendo's doing with Switch. Yeah. And then that's the only reason conceivably I can see to
Nintendo's last few hardware pieces of hardware have been ARM.
Well, really?
No, they've been on PowerPC.
Yeah, because
3DS. 3DS. Which one? Are you talking console or
3DS.
handheld? Yeah, I think the 3DS stuff is ARM.
3DS. The handhelds have been ARM for since at least the DS, maybe even the GBA. I think it's still a custom.
I think the Vita's ARM too, if I'm not mistaken.
That would make sense. Yeah. But yeah, like the
the Wii and Wii U are not. Yeah.
Putting because the Wii is that ArtX stuff from. Maybe that's a game. It doesn't matter. But the point is,
God, RDX.
Last
time anyone said that out loud.
I think they've been 2005 probably.
Yeah.
The point is, if they switch if it makes more sense to move away from x86 and move to an ARM with the same GPUs, they can do that now. Mm-hmm. And then if that makes it cheaper for them to make consoles, then they'll make the jump. But otherwise, they're going to stay with the x86 stuff indefinitely.
Right. Yeah. And so that you don't have a lot of reasons to. Like at some point, the generation bump becomes a marketing thing, and then the number solely means, hey, we're now going to make games that won't run on these older ones,
and then they'll roll out backwards compatibility over a period of months or years, like Microsoft has done with the Xbone.
Yeah. It's there's no easy answer to which one of these you should buy because I think so much of it depends on like. How much money do you have? Like, how is that £100 going to really hit you or not? Yeah. If not, then just get a Pro. You might as well.
If you're only going to buy one game because you bought a Pro, or you'd buy 3 games because you bought a Slim, and you don't have plans to buy a 4K TV in the foreseeable future, then who cares?
Yeah, if you don't want to spend the money and you want to get the regular, you're totally fine.
Yeah,
you will be absolutely fine with the regular console.
But if you're gonna get it for $20 more, go nuts.
But yeah, if you can get into one of these crazy deals that people seem to be finding. And again, like that, it seems like in some cases it requires some work of like punch in this gift code and then do this other thing.
I guess we're starting to get into deal season because that $99 3DS is just about out.
Yeah. There's some crazy deals on Xbox One S's. I saw one for like with
they've been
4.
they've been playing catch up for so long that they have been putting
it was
crazy bundles together
but
to move
$200 to 3 games.
Yeah,
it's like 3 decent games.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Like Call of Duty, the $80 version is going down to $60. So that's the version that comes to Call of Duty 4.
Wow.
Really?
That's good.
Is a weird deal, but because they're not selling that version separately. So yeah, right.
It was nice to go back and play those old maps though.
Yeah, it's fun.
10 minutes.
Right. And then what else? The Vive thing. Vive being $100 off.
I mean, I saw a lot of. I've been seeing a lot of deals on disc-based console games. On
for
Amazon,
sure.
Best Buy, and stuff
like
that.
Titanfall on console has been real low.
Yeah. Battlefield 1 was cheap for a little
right.
while.
I think Battlefield might be 40.
I think you can get
out there
both
these days.
the EA games.
Oh, right.
For
like
$75
bundle.
or something now, but that sucks because I would want Battlefield on PC and maybe Titanfall on the console. I don't know.
Yeah. Titanfall's a console game.
Yeah, I should have bought it on the. I regret buying it on the PC.
That PC porters are great though.
It's a really good port.
Look, I'm never going to play multiplayer, so I like my single player.
Yeah, I like playing multiplayer.
Yeah.
Control scheme is really good too. I was like all the leaning and stuff is always really difficult to hang up, but it was really well done.
Maybe better, Lucio.
Next email comes in from Taylor from Switzerland. I'm not going to say where he signed his email from, but I'm guessing he knows what he's talking about as we read this, based on where he's at.
I hope this is the Large Hadron Collider email.
So just keep that in mind. Not exactly, but it's just addressing a topic of debate that came up. I'll just tell you because you weren't here. Dan was speculating about how much he would have to have someone pay him to do a shot of lava.
How much is his life worth?
So he didn't seem to. Let me read this email.
You can't take it with you, so technically $0.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I'd pay you nothing for Dan's life.
Done. His life is now yours.
Backer reward.
Here's the email from Taylor. Hey, so I ran the numbers on taking a shot of lava, 50 milliliters of molten rock at typical Hawaiian temperature and composition, has enough energy to boil about 1 kilogram of water from body temperature, with the enthalpy of vaporization taken into account, of course. Since humans are close enough to being made of water, this means that a shot would not burn right through you and would instead stop somewhere in your mouth. In between your mouth and the other end. The other important point is that lava doesn't flow like water because it is extremely viscous. That means that you wouldn't be able to just pour it down your throat. There would instead be a big gob of it that all dribbles out at once, hits your mouth, cools and hardens on the outside, and then either stays in your mouth or burns its way out through your lower jaw.
Okay.
Would not recommend.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Did you know that you don't? You know, you always see movies. People always sink into the lava.
Yeah.
But in real life,
Dante's Peak.
Yeah, you're way
Same
less.
dog.
Your density is way less than the lava, so you would actually float.
Yeah.
As you're burning on top.
Yeah.
Well, in Dante's Peak, the flow was very small, and he had to save the dog, so that was worth the life for a dog. I mean, you got to do it. He threw the dog really far too into the truck of the bed of the truck.
Dante's Peak and Volcano are another one of my favorite.
Good duology. We used to have a series on screen
pairing
called
of disaster movies.
I forget what we called it, but that's my story.
Yeah.
Good story.
Nice.
Oh, what was that?
They somehow drove. What was that?
What was that called?
It wasn't remake rematch. It was I don't know. Somebody in chat is yelling at me right now, but I can't see it. So.
Oh man.
Head over to screen.com and find out.
Yeah,
we could ask Joey. Joey would know.
Look it up.
Probably know.
Let's see. Next email comes in from Bruno in Brazil. Hi to all members of this amazing podcast. Thank you. I was listening to an arrow pointing down from February 2008, and Jeff thinks about suing McDonald's for a lifetime of free McRibs. Curiously, in the last Bombcast, the same Jeff says that even one after a long time was one too much. Think about that particular universe where Jeff wins the legal action and now has an unlimited supply of McRibs. Also, a special guest, Alex Navarro, asks for a Call of Duty in space.
What is a McRib made of, actually? Like, it's
Rib
not
meat.
real
Rib meat.
bone,
Rib meat.
but is it like RYB?
No,
legally call it.
RRIB.
I think it's actually pork or something, right?
So
Because the McRib comes back when pork prices come down.
Yeah, I've heard that story.
So it is pork.
Sure.
Oh, is that what determines it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's all
There's
like
a big long story.
What
about it.
what
it's really
turned
good. The
what
Atlantic
turned in your
broke it
life on
down?
the McRib?
the last big rib I had was bad.
Oh, it was just not up to par.
Yeah, like the last one or two McRibs I had were just like, this isn't. I'm not feeling it the way I used to.
Sure.
Yeah.
This is not. I don't want any more of these.
Look, there comes a point in your life, in every man's life, when your tolerance for food that physically damages you decreases to the point that you think, I'm not going to eat this anymore. This is not good. Like this food has side effects that I do not want to deal with on a personal basis anymore.
For me, it's never been that. It's always just been like this thing that I used to really like the taste of has shifted in a way, or I've changed.
Oh, they changed the secret formula.
Or I changed my secret formula at
Yeah.
some point. Like, this burger that I used to get all the time, like, is actually like I'm not into it.
Yeah.
And yeah, but there are still foods that are complete garbage
Oh, no doubt.
that I will like. I would eat an entire pizza right now. You bring it in here,
I'd eat pizza right now.
I would handle that whole thing.
Yeah.
You would have to get your own damn pizza.
Well, I mean,
is
we
what
can
I'm
get two
saying.
pizzas.
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
get one pizza,
exactly.
you get two pizzas. It's
Right,
not a problem.
Totally. We can make that happen.
Yeah, it's government contracting.
Mm-hmm.
Doritos, tacos, those things are fucking great.
I never got that into them. They were just, it was too salty.
Weaponized
Yeah.
junk food.
Yeah,
it was a little
it
too
was
much for
always
me.
just too. I don't know. It never was enough Dorito. It was just tasted like this extra salty taco shell. So I actually, during my Extra Life stream, I took a drive to Taco Bell and got regular tacos.
Wait, did you just leave the stream going?
So the stream was getting my audio from my car.
Wow.
And I was in the car driving.
That's
It
pretty
was
high tech.
a restream of a stream.
Did you have like a little animated Jeff in a car driving to get fast food?
No, it was just a PS4 menu screen for 20 minutes. So
That's pretty good though.
yeah.
Fourth meal?
It was first actually for the
Okay.
day. I'd fucked up and
Yikes.
didn't really eat. So
Oh, that's
yeah,
not good.
yeah.
I meant to call in on at 4:00 in the morning, but then I slept through the alarm.
That's
so.
a smarter move.
Yeah, it was a good choice.
Yeah.
You guys need to come to Oakland. I feel like the thing about spending a lot of time around my girlfriend's family, she's Mexican, big Mexican family. We got like 29 cousins.
Yeah.
But if you start having the tacos in that culture and then you try to go back to Taco Bell, it just doesn't work. There's a place near me in Oakland, which I love the name of it, El Paisa @symbol.com. It doesn't own that domain. Awesome. It's not even a valid domain.
Yeah.
But it's some of the best tacos I've ever had in my life.
Charisma.com of
Taco
East
places.
Bay taco places.
Those are they're like two different things. Like Taco Bell isn't Mexican. It's just American food that is shaped like a taco.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's
it's
fair.
it's two different. Like, yeah, I mean, I've had plenty of authentic
Authentica.
Mexican food and really like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Taco Bell is still Taco Bell.
And it's open real late.
I got
Yeah.
away from like hard tacos entirely. That's what we had, like as you know,
Yeah.
a white bread Virginia family. Oh, hard tacos with soft taco. What the fuck is this?
Yeah, I'll
Now-
fight you. Who you calling a soft taco?
Oh.
You couldn't get tortillas in the grocery store when I was a kid.
El Paisa does this thing where they soak the tortillas in water before putting them on a grill for a bit. So you get the two soft taco shells, and then the meat's enough. You separate it, and you let all the stuff fall out onto the second. You get two tacos for the price of one. It's amazing. Oh. A lot of places do that. A lot of Mexican places do that, but you always wind up ripping them apart as you try to get the first taco off.
Yeah.
They got it down. And then all the salsa and guacamole. Even the guacamole is like fucking too spicy to handle after a bit. It's perfect. Go there. My recommendation. Skip Taco Bell. Go to elpaisa@symbol.com.
Dan goes away for 1 week, and the Yum Foods brands are just taking hits
I know,
left and right.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I that was the first time I had gone to Taco Bell in a very long time, and I appreciated my return. It was all right.
Sometimes you get you just want to go back and get like a few McDonald's. You talking about ribs. Sometimes when I'm here on the weekend, I'll go up and get like if I can't get something done in the week, I'll come back in very occasionally. But I'll get a few McDonald's hamburgers, like plain just regular hamburgers. But then the sodium rush of that, because all fast food is basically like
You get the
half-
cough.
half sodium. Even like right now, I had 2 energy drinks. I gotta get niacin rushed for a second there.
Yeah.
But the regret of McDonald's hamburgers is real.
It's physical.
Not me, man. Last time I had those, it was like, yep, cool. I can't go back to this life, but this is all right.
I like a Big Mac.
So I was always more of a quarter pounder kind of guy.
I was a quarter pounder guy at one point in my life too.
Number 2.
That's what happens after. Oh,
Next email.
All right. Thanks for the cue. We'll move on. This email comes in from Brian. As of today, it's been 90 days since Sean Murray and Hello Games have said a word to the No Man's Sky community. I assume he's discounting those tweets about them getting hacked. Sure. Which don't really count as speaking to the community anyway. Any idea what they're doing or thinking every day that passes without just being upfront with everyone sinks the game and company further. With how this has all gone down, I don't see how an indie studio sells another game successfully.
They're still in Aruba.
That's maybe a bit of a leap.
No, that's nothing they say would matter now. Like they're doing the only thing they can do, and that's working on the fucking game.
Hopefully,
like they need to reemerge alongside. Here's a substantial update to the game.
Yeah.
If they are sitting out here being transparent and spending all their time talking, it's all just talk at this point.
Right.
And they should call it the No Man's Sky Game of the Year edition.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
at this point, like, yeah, I mean, they could be out there talking about the things they're going to do.
Right.
And you know what? They're going to get shit and death threats and bullshit from all these fucking assholes.
Yeah.
What they need to be doing is fixing their fucking fucked up bullshit game.
Yes.
Which is presumably what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then when that is in a good place, then they can be like, here you go.
Here's what we've been doing.
Here's what we've been doing. The game is now in this place, and here's what we plan to do from here. They have zero credibility with their community right now.
Right. Like unless they can show the thing they're telling you about, they don't have any license to talk about it. Right
like
now
out there talking about it doesn't help anything. It
because like promising things that they were then not able to deliver is what got them in this mess.
Like the
in
idea
first
that
place.
people out there are keeping count is fucking stupid.
So like they need to have like new features finished by the time when they next come out. With,
I'm really curious to go back now and wonder what that like month-long delay was even for, because
it was like 2 months.
It was something like that. But
at that
maybe
point,
it was just
at
like
that point
you have to ship it and make
you've
it
probably
work.
you've probably locked the game at that point, and you're polishing and bug fixing and stuff. You're not adding new features at that stage.
And console cert processes take a long
console
time.
cert, and they also did a disc release, so that added even more lead time.
Right.
Like the game was probably close to finished for that June release.
Well, then they had that huge patch. Probably the 2 months is them doing the huge patch.
And they were doing that
after.
stuff after they probably sent the disc off to mastering or whatever.
I did fire that up the other day, and I found a planet with space with like flying worm things. Like it seemed. This is it's anecdotal because who knows, but it seems like I got more interesting monsters a month after the game came out or 2 months after the game came out than I did when I was just getting the same kind of melodica dudes, dinosaur things walking around.
I played it for an hour or so. I got drunk. I drank,
that's a good choice.
I drank some malt liquor and played No Man's Sky, and that was maybe the best time I had with it. But it was still like I don't necessarily want to do any of the objective-based things in that game, and the exploration's not interesting enough. So, like, yeah,
I just like
they need to get that game in a better state and add some of the stuff that they said they were going to add. And then once that's in a showable state, no, not even showable. At this point, it needs to be like
they just need to release the patch and be like, "Hey, shit just dropped."
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. That's the only way forward for any of this.
PSX is what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Sony doesn't want any fucking
they're not gonna put that up there.
That's not going to be there.
Yeah, Sony's not going to be like, yeah, no, totally. Let's attach our names
No
to
Man's
this thing
Sky
again.
2.
It's been going so well.
Yeah. The short answer is that you would hope they have learned the lesson that they shouldn't be out there talking anymore until they have something to back it up.
Yeah.
So I would interpret their silence as they not having anything to show yet.
So how much
they're still working on stuff, I would assume.
How much of this is like real and people who buy games but don't spend time on message boards on the internet, and how much of do you have a feeling about whether this is a real thing that normal people know about, or is it just like
I think normal
Reddit?
people don't engage with a lot of pre-release coverage of video games.
Yeah.
Like generally speaking, most of the people that consume any kind of pre-release stuff that isn't just a trailer, anyone that would watch an interview about a game, like we're talking about a subset of a subset of a subset.
Like
at that point.
that's a hardcore audience that is not.
But this dude showed up like on Conan, and there was like
Yeah,
Time magazine.
you're right.
Colbert.
Yeah, but I wouldn't assume. I think it was Colbert, but like I wouldn't assume that people that saw him on like something like Colbert immediately went out and then started watching every interview that he did.
They put on the Christmas list for their grandkid. Now they're
and I feel like a lot of the stuff that hit the mainstream was like a lot of that was in broad strokes, and a lot of that is stuff that is generally speaking, not necessarily exactly 100%, but that's the sort of stuff that's in the game today. So I feel like
universe.
I feel like removed from the concepts that were talked about very early on, and removed from the interviews and stage shows and all that other stuff. I think at that point, like it's probably in line. Like I think it's a disappointing game.
Sure.
But I would think that regardless of what they said about it prior to release or anything like that,
Well,
you're like, well, there's just not enough to do here.
Like as somebody who didn't follow any of that stuff before release, I loaded that game up and I kind of wandered around space and was like, this is really cool. I wish there was some like pirated, like just a little bit more there.
Yeah.
Like I looked at it in
problem,
terms of
yeah.
just like as like a fan of something like Terraria or something like that, where it's like, that has, objectives along the way and, bosses and kind of interesting things to discover. And that is the stuff that I would expect. Like looking at this game and what it is, I think about it in terms of like, oh, this is like a polygonal, like global version of a game like Starbound or Terraria or something like that. But it doesn't have any of the hooks or mechanics or things that make something like Terraria like feel like a progression.
Or like that first time you dig down and accidentally find a dungeon in Minecraft is a really like you're like, oh
yeah,
there's this whole separate weird thing that happened down here for me to it's like a whole nother game inside this game. And
instead of like like No Man's Sky having just like here's like 12 prefab buildings that are gonna kind of be on every planet and they're all gonna kind of look roughly like this and you'll get some different colors and you'll find some different creatures and stuff like that. Like that sort of stuff is there and I think it's cool but thin.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think like regardless of any kind of marketing around the game or anything like that, like I just look at it in terms of its contemporaries in the kind of procedurally generated video game world, and just go like, well, this is disappointing by those standards. So if they can get it up to that point, if they can say like, hey, we made a polygonal Starbound, it's a decent place to be.
Yeah, that's not so bad.
Yeah.
But again, like getting out there and saying, "Hey, here's what we're working on," solves nothing. Like
we're going to add more inventory slots.
Any of these angry people that are like counting days are not going to be, they're not going to suddenly change their opinion by like being engaged with or whatever. So the patch just has to hit.
Yeah, like they only get one more shot.
Oh yeah,
they only have one more chance to prove like, okay, now we're actually turning this into the game we said it was going to be.
Right. Yeah.
So if they don't nail it the next time, like nobody's going to care after that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think the ship has sailed for a lot of people at this point.
Yeah, totally.
Like,
but I'm saying they'll lose everybody else if they come out again promising something that they can't deliver.
Have anybody right now? Like
obviously these people that want to hear from them care.
But I wonder if those people want to hear from them out of some sense of like they want this game to be better, and how many of them are people that just like feel like they owe it to us.
I think
like how much of it is like that aspect of it, and that's
they're addicted to Rage-a-Hole.
And hey, that happens. Like whatever. Like I get the people like feel they are owed an explanation for the thing they bought, and maybe. But the way they're going about it, I think there have been a lot of people going about it in a really fucked up way.
I mean, if that had been a PC only release and they were like an early access title and they could be dumping out small incremental updates constantly, then you could do that kind of communication. It would work.
Right.
But that's also that is a person's full-time job. And if you're a 5 or 10 person studio making this enormous game, like that's a hard decision to make.
That's true.
I mean, person.
Yeah. I mean, like we have Rory as our conduit to social media and stuff like that, and that's all stuff that we do what we can when we can do it for everything we do. Yeah. And I mean that's.
I mean, yeah.
We make those choices too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they're in a rough spot. I think some of it is a rough spot that was, if not created by, then certainly they didn't shy away from its creation on their watch. To rein it in when things got weird.
Yep.
So,
yeah,
it's a rough spot.
Yes. Here's an email from Zach. EA Access has just added Mass Effect 1 through 3 to the vault.
Ooh.
Having never played through any of the Mass Effects, I decided to start the first one and play all of them. Here's my question. I've heard that the first Mass Effect is a bit laborious to play through and that I should skip it and play the second one.
No way.
What do you recommend? I am enjoying it so far, but is it worth finishing? I mean,
if you're enjoying it, then play it.
I think that answers the question
Mass
right
Effect
there.
1 is probably my favorite Mass Effect.
I think
just mainline. Don't do any of the side shit. Like, don't do any of the like exploring planet side stuff.
The Mako exploring planet stuff in Mass Effect 1 is very not really worth your time.
I remember
not that bad.
It's not, but it's
the
very
Mako.
cookie.
The
It's
Mako
super
is fine.
No, but it's more.
If you're looking to get through 3 games, that's not.
The Mako's not the problem. The problem is that it's the same like 2 or 3 cookie cutter bases on every planet you land on.
I found a weird.
that sounds familiar.
The level design,
right.
The level design in those side missions is just super repetitive.
I remember finding a weird little alien monument on one of the Mass Effect Planets when I think I did that game guide for GameSpot, and I never figured out what it was, and I just remind me that I should go back and look that up.
They did like they had the worm one in the first one, right? The worm side missions.
Right.
And this is all so familiar.
Yeah.
Was that the second one that had the worm missions?
I don't remember.
2 was much better about having more interesting and varied.
But I think the story in 1 is worth seeing. Like that's the thing.
Totally.
If
the
you're
story is strong in the
if
first
you have
one.
access to the trilogy and you don't mind, like the only way I think I would call Mass Effect like laborious is in comparison to Mass Effect 2, where they streamlined some of those systems.
2 is a much better game
and made it a better game.
But kind of more like Call of Duty-esque. I kind of like the combat. The first one, it felt like more thorough and paced.
Yeah. I wish he mentioned which version he was playing, because like that 360 version is pretty framey and not great technically, and then the PC version's obviously going to be better. But
the PC version didn't have gamepad support, did it?
That was 3.
Okay.
I think I'm pretty sure. Well, I don't know actually.
I played all of them on the Xbox because that's where I started the first one.
Yeah, and then you got to stick with your save, obviously. From there.
But like that opportunity to start that story and make the choices and like see how a lot of your early decisions play out over the course of the thing was made for some of my favorite gaming moments of all time.
And I bet that like the problems with 3 are lessened by the notion of you playing all 3 of them in short time. Like 3 as an anticipatory thing that took years to make from 2. Like seeing all those, like there were a lot of and maybe it wouldn't be this way, but I look at it in terms of like there were a lot of decisions I made across Mass Effect 1 and 2 that I really wanted to see wrap up, that I felt were resolved in a very slapdash way.
Yeah, they don't do a great job with
Hey, do you remember when you did that thing on that one planet? That was great.
Yeah,
moving on.
Right, yeah. Hey, the Arachne Queen, you're alive. Yes, I am. Hello.
Somebody will run up to you and like very, very stiltedly describe
Thank you so
the
much
thing
for
you did.
doing that thing.
Yeah,
but I mean,
yeah.
But for somebody who, like for me, I didn't remember the Arachnid Queen when I was playing 3. So having the stilted expository conversation.
The bigger problem in a lot of cases was that bless you, they would. The outcome was was functionally the same no matter what you had done, and it's just like the name of the character who was involved is what changed or something like that.
I'm thinking about like the Ashley Caden.
Those the character choices were the big choice. Like who came over with you from game to game and who like left or died.
The Solus
those
and
were
all
the
that.
big.
Yeah.
Those were the big changes.
Yeah.
The story stuff, not so much.
The tally thread with the like it was. I thought I was not as much of. I wasn't reviewing the game, so I was in a different position than you guys, and I found the third one to be entirely serviceable with a terrible ending.
See, and for me, it was like the ending was just like icing on the cake for a game that didn't satisfy along the way. Like my problems, like people were freaking about out about the ending, whereas I was just like, dude, the whole game is that
bad.
You know, it's the whole game kind of does that. I don't think it's bad either.
I don't. I like at worst, it's
okay.
It's more Mass Effect 2 with like maybe not quite as much polish.
And
like there are some small things that are not great.
Mass Effect 2 opens the branches,
it's
and
the
3 has
widest
to
point
close
of the
them up.
diamond.
So it's going to be
Totally.
going to be the good one.
That's for sure. That's for sure. But they're like, I've been on record with this multiple times. Like it's a much better game with all that DLC they put out, which sucks for people that bought it when it came out.
I played it at launch, and like I only just now, like last week, dug out the Mass Effect jacket I bought a few weeks before 3 came out. And I bought it thinking like, this is cool, man. It's got stripes down one side, which I like. You know,
I mean, that's
it's a good design. It's a cool looking jacket. And then Mass Effect 3 came out, and I went, well, can't fucking wear this anymore because I don't like this game enough. And it's only now that I felt like, oh yeah, I'm gonna pull this out. Oh right, yeah.
The cover combat that they put in 3 was really good too.
Yeah, the combat was good. Like that co-op stuff.
The combat got progressively better throughout that series.
That's for sure. But it was so I can't remember how you got the Prothean DLC, which was the actual crew member who was a Prothean that.
It was a pre-order bonus.
Was it a pre-order, or I'd swear there was a way to, because I played that game months after it came out, and I was able to get that.
I had that.
Anything that was pre-order would have eventually been released.
They would have put it out. Yeah. So that thing, I think that was like $10. Like that was a whole crew member that added a ton of backstory to what was going on.
Yeah.
And then the double whammy of like granted they put out a new ending.
Right.
So I saw that revised ending, which is much better. Not much, but it's better.
But
the double whammy of that and. What the hell was the name of that? Leviathan.
Oh, Leviathan was good.
Leviathan is the thing that sets up the actual ending of that game and makes it make sense when you get there.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I can totally understand the experience people would have had at the time of like that ending just comes out of nowhere and you're just like, what the fuck is this?
Right.
that DLC actually at least gives context to what all that stuff is, and like it makes you understand it when you get there.
And I felt like a lot of that stuff was there. You just had to read the codex.
But
nobody reads the codex.
So like adding those DLC missions put that stuff like right in your face if you went and did that stuff. So
I read a lot of codex entries.
Yeah,
got to read the books.
Yeah,
you had to read the second. It was a second screen app, I think. You had to load up
read
the
the
app.
items.
You had to get all the iOS.
They did have that. Because it was like to build Galactic Readiness, you could use the app or play the multiplayer, right?
Got to learn Polish first.
Right.
That's what I always get for like Bloodborne. It's the same way. They always like, oh, you got to read the item descriptions. Like, I have no idea what's going on. I played Bloodborne for maybe like 100 hours. I have no idea what's going on in the game. Everybody's like, oh, yeah, item descriptions. That doesn't fucking help at all.
When it comes to a game like Bloodborne, I don't know that I care about what's actually going on.
It's cooler because it's so weird. So
yeah.
Still haven't beat that game. That was on my top 10 unfinished games of 2015. It will remain there for 2016.
That's
I've
fair.
never finished Souls, I don't think.
I beat Demon Souls.
Wow. Hardcore.
Let's see. Okay, 2 more emails. Let's say.
Dos más?
This
I don't know how
one
to say
comes
emails
in
in
from
Spanish.
Ozzy. After hearing your last episode where you mentioned Vec 9, I had to write to share the fact that I actually know the 3 guys who made it. I happen to work with them at my current job in New York, although one of them just left for a new company. They're made up of 2 electrical engineers and 1 software engineer, who, as you would imagine, are all incredibly smart. My understanding is that there are 2 cabinets, one in Pittsburgh and the other in one of their basements.
Those seem like the kinds of guys that would make a vector game.
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
So Vec
In
9 is a modern vector game. I don't know if
I'm
you've-
familiar.
He
Wanted
says,
to see one for a long time.
if you're interested in learning a little more about how it was made and seeing an earlier prototype of the game, I linked Todd's blog about it below. I'll throw that in the show notes for people to click on. Also, I figured I would mention that one of them also made a new NES game, cartridge and all, called Super Russian Roulette. It was successfully kickstarted a few months back, and it looks awesome. There's
Play with your kids.
another link to the launch trailer there.
Does it have Zapper support?
He doesn't say, but I'll put those links. But yeah, I love the idea.
hope.
I love the idea that there
Not
are
registering.
there are electrical engineers that had to work on this vector game,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
like that stuff is so arcane and old school.
Did they make new vector monitors, or did they just?
I don't know.
Can you?
Okay.
I don't
Like-
know.
I have no idea how that's. I don't.
Someone had to make them originally. You could. I don't know.
No,
if
I'm
a
saying
person
I'm
could,
saying
but-
like that, it would probably take like a massive amount of capital to tool the machine,
Well,
the production lines to make
yeah.
those things.
Oh, but they
right?
you
just
could
ripped it out
probably
of
hand
something
make,
else.
or you like those are analog. You can hand make if you have the tube, whatever. I don't know what the difference on the tube is.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Like, is the thing that changes the gun on the back that draws the lines on the phosphors, or is it the arrangement of the phosphors on the tube?
Both? I don't
Really?
know. I don't know.
I think I thought I saw in there was a graphics video I was watching. I thought I saw that it's the electron gun moves is what's
Yeah.
or it shoots in.
So
different
rather than
directions.
doing
That's how
scan lines, it actually is dancing
It's
around.
actually drawing vectors
Yeah.
on the screen.
But so then that means the phosphors presumably are arranged the same. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you could make an electron gun that that is an electrical engineering project that a huge nerd would be into making.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yes, that's why it's so cool. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there so I could.
With like modern computing power and like you had like multiple guns. I mean,
You
could
would
draw
be
like a
limited
lot of
by-
stuff on
Be
screen.
limited by what the monitor could do at that point.
I don't know. Like, there's no reason you couldn't do that with like lasers and
Right.
phosphorescent screens too, and just do it like real huge and weird
Yeah.
in the dark.
Huh.
I think that's like that. Have you guys played Killer Queen?
No.
Oh man. So
Yeah.
like the idea of people making new arcade games that are like these bespoke things that only like they use modern game
Right.
mechanics in that old
It's
Killer
really,
Queen is so fucking good.
that's what I've heard.
Oh my god! But you need
They
like
have one
10
at the
people.
cards office, right?
Max has one.
Yeah.
There's one there's a couple in the valley that like rich people own.
Yeah.
I want to say that there's an arcade or a barcade or something that has one here, in the general Bay Area now.
Yeah.
And it's just this. So if you don't know what the game is, it's a 5v5 stand-up arcade machine where you have 4 people on each side play drones. One person plays the queen, and basically the queen and the drones have different powers for all intents and purposes. The goal is you can score one of 3 ways. You can win by one of 3 ways, either by an attrition way, a killing everybody way, or an economy way. And it ends up being like this. It's all the kind of interesting stuff that happens in competitive team-based games like Overwatch and TF2 and stuff like that, but condensed into like a 3-minute match that you play with people that are in the same room. And it's like what I like about arcade games.
Yeah.
So
Is it multi-monitor, like stretched across? Because I always envisioned it, since it is this 5v5 thing, it's a wide cabinet. I always figured is it like multiple screens stretched across like Ninja Warriors or?
So I think they use LCDs, so it's they're low profile.
Right. Yeah.
I think it's a 40-inch TV that's like a 16:9 TV.
Okay.
So you have to but it's only one button and a stick. So you basically just kind of, you kind of get in sideways and there's a place to put your beer.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. It's if you have a chance to play, you should play. It's super good.
I would like to at some point.
All right, one more email from Mason. Why do you guys say "the" before your interstates and/or highways? Does all of California do this, or just L.A. and San Francisco? In the few places I've lived, people just say the road number.
It's a Southern California thing.
Is it?
Mainly,
I
yeah.
hear
There's
people
an
do it.
SNL mix on it.
Yeah, there's an Californians.
It bugged the shit out of me when I moved out here. Like back home, it was just like it was 26 or I-40. Like you would sometimes put the I on it.
Yeah,
but
I don't say it.
People say the 101. Like it drove
No,
me nuts.
I don't.
It's not the 680. It's 680.
Yeah.
But it is that down in LA, it's the 101.
Oh, does everybody?
Or the 405.
I would
in
yeah,
LA.
yeah,
Yeah.
It is very much a Southern California thing, but
Okay.
I probably would always say not always, but I would probably even say take 680 to the 101.
The 101 is the
Yeah.
one.
I guess a lot of
that
people.
gets
the
yeah.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I've never said or heard anyone say the 280.
Yeah.
I live 0.8 of a mile from one, and I never call it the one.
Everybody calls that one Highway 1. I
Highway
think.
1 or
'Cause-
US
'cause-
1.
Yeah, US 1.
Or just one.
Yeah.
The freeway thing is the one that gets me, because like a lot of California's what would be limited access interstate roads in the rest of the country aren't actually interstates.
Yeah.
So we call them freeways here.
Yeah.
And when I go back east and call something called the interstate the freeway, people mock you.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, nobody's.
They don't. It's
there
all
is no-
interstates.
There's no freeway. It's just interstates there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And most of like this, like the equivalent of
yeah.
101 is more like it is in the central California area where it's like not limited access. It's just like it's limited access, but it's not on ramps, off ramps. There's occasional stoplights and stuff.
Oh, right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because when getting up north to where I'm at, like it gets down to 2 lanes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like at some point it becomes a highway.
You can't just put it's the kind of highway that you can't like put a driveway on without a permit.
Right.
You have to. There's an access road still, but
yeah.
For whatever reason, the Oakland air traffic control tower will tell you to follow the Nimitz freeway, which is what the 880 freeway is actually called.
That's what it shows
It's
up
really
as Google
confusing.
Maps.
Yeah.
They used to, that's traffic reports on the radio used to always talk about the Nimitz Freeway and all this other stuff back when people used to listen to the radio.
they must have loved the Final Countdown.
You know,
Yeah.
Nimitz came back to not Angel Island, but he died on Yerba Buena Island because
Really?
it had like a military hospital there, and he apparently at the end of his life he just kind of wanted. I guess he was stationed in San Francisco for a long time.
That's the
but-
weird, like that's the weird Southern California thing to me is that the freeways have names.
All freeways have names.
I
We just
know,
don't
yeah,
use them
we don't
here.
use them. Yeah, it's like people that are talking about like, oh, the Hollywood Freeway.
I was like, yeah, I grew up on Dolly Madison Boulevard in McLean, Virginia, and that was
really?
also
Oh, yeah, we
I
talked
think
about
it was 101 or something like that. It was another number, but it's named it too.
No,
over there.
it's 58 or 66 or something, isn't it?
I never drove.
Yeah.
I didn't drove till I
Herndon,
was 27, so
right?
I barely know
Did you
anything.
get like free pastries or something like that for being on the Dolly Madison? That's
It's a different Dolly Madison.
different Dolly Madison.
Yeah.
Okay. all right.
Yeah, I think it was the wife of James Madison, I want to say, or something like that. It
I
was
didn't know
something-
you were from McLean.
It was, yeah. It's in the new Jason Bourne movie, my hometown.
Huh.
They cut to a lot of people very freaked out that Jason Bourne has reappeared in McLean, Virginia, because there's a bunch of CIA,
Yeah.
NSA buildings around there.
I accidentally pulled into the CIA headquarters at Langley one time when I made a wrong turn when I
Wow.
was 18 years old.
Thanks.
And like there's no place. I pulled in and I was like, oh man, I made a bad choice.
Yeah.
And then I had just enough time before I got to the guard station, and there was no way to turn around because they don't. Yeah, it was bad. I mean, it wasn't like nothing bad happened, but
Yeah.
like it was incredibly uncomfortable, and they held me there where they like ran my plates and stuff to make sure I wasn't up to no good, and then they made me turn around and get out. But like the barrier popped up behind you, so I couldn't go forward or
wow.
back or
That's
anything.
cool.
It was exciting.
Kill zone.
That sounds
Yeah.
kind of scary.
Yeah.
Huh.
There's a road around here, a freeway or a highway or something, whose official name is Grove Shafter.
That's fucking awesome.
Huh.
Sounds like
All
some-
right.
How do you get that name, you think?
I don't know.
Is it
Fuck
near
tree.
like yeah.
Mm.
Wow.
We've all been there.
I mean,
It weirded me out when I moved out here that I-40 was like a nationally known Like that's the one that crosses the country, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, because where I lived in North Carolina, like that was just happened to be the closest interstate that you took to get places. Like I never even realized it went outside the state.
Thanks, Eisenhower.
And then I got out here and
Yeah.
people talked about I-40 out of here too. And I was like, wait, what the, what? What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Interstates.
Interstates aorta. The
Yeah.
nation's aorta.
Yeah. Yep. They live up to the name. All right. That's it for emails. Bombcast@giantbomb.com. I have to say that every time, just in case.
Yeah, people
somebody
need to
forgets.
know.
Yeah.
What is it? Is this an email address? Do
Yep.
people still do you have a like Signal or some sort of, what if I need to get secret communiques to you guys?
We have a Tumblr for that.
Okay, nice.
Yes.
Okay.
It's anonymous, so
That's the
I know
place
where
to-
yeah.
okay, I got some questions I got to get answered.
That's the place to put
also
that.
no one ever looks at that Tumblr account. So it's a really great way
I bet
to not get in touch with us.
that seems like premium content now. You just sit down with the Tumblr one afternoon and a camera.
When we don't mention it, the asks definitely stop
yeah,
coming
it
in at
kind
some
of-
point.
See, now
so
we've
it
talked
dries-
about it, so it's
yeah,
back
It
on.
dries
Yeah.
up because nobody uses it.
And now someone will look at it 3 months from now, and we'll go like, "Oh, here's another batch of totally."
A lot of stuff about washing your privates.
I don't know about washing.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to do it for the show. Thanks for coming in, y'all.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks, Will Smith. Thanks, Matt Rory.
I'll make the trip next time.
What's that?
What are you guys up to? What are you doing with your time?
Like I said, we're adding store stuff apparently on Friday, so I'll
Okay.
be working on some. I'll probably put up a news story and
Friday?
some buy.
Friday. Black
I don't
Friday.
think it's gonna be on sale, unfortunately. Well, we'll talk about it. I don't know. We got some stuff to figure out. We're like down to the wire. We've been trying to get this. Every time we try to put any kind of new store stuff out, it takes so long to get like samples done and everything else. So we're gonna try to have some stuff very soon.
We looked at
And then-
samples last week.
Ooh.
Yeah, one out of like
What? Oh yeah.
yeah. So that's what I'll go out to a big Mexican Thanksgiving. That'll be really good, and then try to answer some sport emails and play some video games over the weekend. Hopefully.
We
What are you doing?
Foo, my company, we pushed our pre-orders for the first season of the show live last week
Oh.
on Kickstarter. Sorry, I
Oh,
apologize.
Kickstarter. I
Yeah,
see.
but we're releasing
well,
them.
you're not a video game, so
Okay, this is semi-legit.
semi.
I don't want to cause you guys
semi-
problems.
Okay, yeah.
Can't endorse this.
Don't endorse.
Yeah.
But it's this is the weirdest plug I've ever done. No, we're releasing the first episodes of the show. We're selling 5 episodes of the show with the season. And we're going to release them starting basically as soon as we get information from Kickstarter about who our backers are and can send codes and stuff. So it's $20 to get the whole thing, and if that goes well, then we'll keep doing it for as long as people keep buying it. But we decided to charge mainly because like the number of headsets that are out there right now, there's no that's the way to fund it, right? There's no advertising for 100,000 people or 200,000 people or 500,000 people even. And the venture capital money, if we had taken the venture capital money to hit the revenue targets that they wanted, we would have had to do horrible things that I didn't want to do at this, it's too early to exploit that market.
Sure. That
Do
makes
horrible
sense.
things
And
later.
then, like for people that don't have a VR headset, you're doing stuff for them.
Thank
too,
you
right?
so much, Jeff. Yeah, that's really important. So yeah,
Okay.
if you don't have a VR headset,
Click your mouse on the screen and
we literally have a client that works like a
Okay.
video
Oh,
game.
all
So
right.
you'll have like first-person control over the camera.
Uh-huh.
You can fly around. We might even give you multiple cameras, so you can pretend you're Drew with a video switcher and switch back and forth between cameras like crazy, as much as you want.
Yeah. All right.
And that'll be the beta tester while we're figuring out UI for that version will be available to Kickstarter backers before anybody else has access to it. And then after we get the UI stuff worked out, we'll release that, and people who buy the show on Steam or whatever can get it there.
Neat. Cool.
Yeah, so it's good that Kickstarter's. Kickstarter's weird.
Yeah.
Like it's
how much email are you getting from people that are experts that are willing to help you get it in front of people?
I
Because
have
we get pitches from them
my
all the
God.
time, and they're all fucking terrible.
So yeah, like people send you emails that are like, "Hey, we have a 500 publication list that we will get you out in front of for $35." And I look at that and I'm like, man, I understand all the fucking spam I got when I was untested about Kickstarter bullshit.
Yep.
still
Just-
happens a lot.
Yeah.
You're much better off. Like most people, I know you guys don't fucking cover Kickstarters for the most part because it's a shit show. So don't bother people who don't anyway, yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah.
So,
I got one today, like a review request for Comic Fine, and the guy says he has a plan for like a 10 series comic book. I haven't done the art yet. I need other people to do the art, and I'm gonna have, but it's all plotted out. I don't want to start getting the news out there. It's just like, yeah,
what?
Yeah, okay, no art done, and I haven't even written it yet, but I got plans. I got big plans for this comic book.
Turning ideas into things turns out is time consuming, expensive, and hard.
There's
gotta dream big.
There's something to be said for showing your thing and selling your thing
show my
at
thing
the
all the
right time when you, I mean, you want to show it at the right time when it's looking its best, let's say.
Yeah.
When it's firmed up.
Yes.
When your plans have gotten firm and solid, then you want to expose it to the world.
Sure.
That's like the No Man's Sky thing in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It's like there I am tying your Kickstarter in No Man's
Thanks,
Sky.
man.
You're
I really
welcome.
appreciate
Good
that.
luck with everything.
If you can like maybe break into my office and steal a bunch of shit or flood it or whatever, that would be great too. Yeah.
That's the huge outpouring.
Oh yeah, no, it's really lovely to have people have been really kind to us, which has been awesome. So I really appreciate all the support. And if you want to find out where it is, you can go to foovr.com/Kickstarter. Just follow me on Twitter. Sorry.
Okay.
All right.
You're never gonna have me back, are you?
I already backed the Kickstarter, so
Oh,
I don't
thanks.
know. Yeah,
Okay.
that's
I saw some guy named Jeff back me the other day.
I wanted to see. I want to see that thing.
I'll show you. I got a pin in my jacket outside.
Oh, cool.
I can
All
see
right.
what it looks like.
Jeff Backlar back to you?
Jeff, maybe I don't know. I don't really know Jeff Backlar. He wasn't in the office when I visited New York. Yeah,
He's out and about.
he's a man of the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is.
A people of the people.
All right. Well, it's time for us to go be that.
Yeah.
So we got to get out of this room and shut down the show. Thanks for listening. Have a good Thanksgiving. We will see you next week. Same time, same place.